$5. God damn it. And I might have to fucking restart this because OBS, it literally froze after I went live. What the fuck? Hmm. I think I'm just gonna have to. There we go. There we go. And it used to take like 5 minutes for me to swap to change out or like restart uh, the stream. It took forever before, like, and it would be like it really sucked, man, because like my computer, I overloaded it when I first started, and it would like freeze randomly sometimes. Like if I messed with anything in OBS, it would crash. Yeah, it seems like that is the world. It's just a shit show, isn't it? That's how it feels anyway. Man, I'm really like it blows my mind how badly. Can hear the sound? Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, like Trump, it's now everybody has caught up to the fact that Trump really may have affected American quality of life going forward. And it's just so glaring. Like, how did this guy let this happen? Like, it's so obvious what happened, too. It's so obvious that they talked him into something. And, oh, shit, I forgot to start the other streams. Yeah, they talked this fucking guy into it. And now that we're in deep, and he didn't really want to do it, it was something he did on a lark. And all of a sudden, he's kind of like has this annoyed attitude, like, I can't believe that you're focusing on this. He's so used to being able to just move on from things, and he's not going to be able to move on from this, and I can tell it's bothering him. He doesn't want to hear it. I'm not muted. I know for sure I'm not muted. It's going in and out. I don't see how that could. I mean, it's just me talking, so it's not going to be going all the time. Good. Oh, good lord. Well, yeah. Anyway, Trump. It looks like they talked him into this stuff, and now he looks like he doesn't know why we're there. He looks like it was never his idea, and he wants to go. Look, this wasn't my idea. Why do I have to answer for this? That's what he wants to do. You can see it. It's plain as day that this guy he doesn't want to be there. I mean, this wasn't his idea, and they tricked him, and now he's kind of butthurt that it's on him. He can't blame anybody. He can't blame Joe Biden. There's nobody that he can blame. And it wasn't a war anybody else started, nothing like that. And I think that bothers him. Oh, there we go. And for some reason, YouTube views wasn't popping up. Wasn't popping up and shit. And what wasn't so apparent before with Trump, like he was getting away with not wanting to get involved. Like we get involved, and then Trump, the way he plays it for a couple of weeks, nobody can really say no, that's bullshit, because they don't know either. You know, it's before any information comes back. Is that maybe somebody subscribed or some shit or followed? But you know, he skates for like we went into Iran, and I'm pretty sure within a day or two of them assassinating Khomeini, they knew what time it was. How's it going, Robin? I'm pretty sure they knew what time it was after they killed that Khomeini guy within a couple days. You know, it's been like you can't hear anything. Seriously? What the fuck? Like I hear it, my voice in my ears. I know for a fact that the voice I put on the sound on the YouTube window. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's your stuff that's not working. It's not me. Yeah, Trump, he like skates on his bravado for a little while. He comes out and he beats up on the reporters so much. And you know, I used to, I mean, I still think they're pieces of shit, the reporters, but he would beat up on them, you know, and Hegseth too. They beat up on him or beat up on the reporters. So now they they don't jump to any conclusions at all. It's like they ask a question and they have to outsmart Trump and Hegseth. They get them to hang themselves, basically, that where they have to like cross themselves, like because they can't set a trap, because if they set a rhetorical trap, Trump and Hegseth will call it out before they won't fall into it. Which, by the way, Hegseth, oh my god, that's a dumb that dude is he's shot out. Dude is shot out. Rosen, yeah, Pete Hegseth is absolutely shot out. The guy's he's drank too much or drank for too long. He doesn't seem like he knows what's going on at all. Not even, and honestly, he doesn't seem like he seems like a face. He's just a face. I mean, I think that's pretty much what the whole point of him is that's why that's Trump's that's how he picks people, I guess, by how if they look good. I mean, it's obvious because he picks fucking total imbeciles. That Pete Hegseth, he's not a smart dude. He's not. Maybe he was because he was an officer, but I don't know, man. Like when they first started the war, oh, we're gonna liberate the Iranians. We want to let these people rise up and take over their own country. Literally in the last 2 days, you know what the story's been? We're gonna bomb them back to the fucking Stone Age. Stone Age. I don't. It's Rick. Maybe you should leave, come back. I don't know, but you're just distracting me. Yeah, they're talking about bombing the Iranians back to the Stone Age. It's like, well, what the fuck happened to you setting them free from their chains of bondage? Now you're just gonna fucking murder them? Like, and we're supposed to go along with this? Really? Dude, no thanks, man. No thank you. This isn't going to be on my conscience. Like, if you want to do that, elites, you want to be evil, sick bastards and just murder a people, go for it, man. Oh, yeah. Glad to see that. I feel like something's changed about the YouTube chat box. I feel like I didn't used to see it wasn't as like I'm just commenting on the little symbol next to everybody's name. Maybe maybe I'm just seeing shit. But that it's not right, man. If they say we're going in there for or to liberate these people. Well, and you're never going to liberating people by blowing. Yeah, see, I told you if you leave and come back. But liberate these people by murdering them. And I remember at the start of all the engagement and stuff, uh Anna Kasparian, and I was with them as well from the jump. They had this I had the same opinion as they did pretty much. But like, Trump's they're coming out and saying, "Yeah, we're going to liberate these people." And it's like you're going to liberate those people by what? Killing by bombing them. Really? Like that doesn't make any sense, man. The juice isn't worth the squeeze at that point. You know what I mean? It's not like it, you're just not going to win the favor of people by killing them. That's just not how it works. Yeah, the fall of Constantinople. I mean, the fall of any city. The fall of any city, it usually is when it just changes hands. But it's got to change hands abruptly, where it like by conquest typically. But I think, cities they change hands whether or not it's by conquest, they change hands. It's more of like a natural uh where a change by osmosis almost where they just kind of it changes hands slowly or goes from person to person like Venice, that was ruled by it's weird. Not only are entire countries or states ruled by an elite, but even cities. That really is like the tried and tested way of for human beings to survive. That was the system of government from your home, like where you lived on your plantation or on your lord's plantation all the way up to nations and empires. You had a lord that you lived on his property and worked his property. And then it goes to a country. It's just a scaling up of elite strata. That's all it is, like emperors are just the highest strata of elite, and it goes all the way down to simple squires, which is pretty neat. It's not a way that I would want to live. Although, we tell ourselves sweet, little tales so we feel better about the world and how we live. But we live the same way as people lived with kings. I mean, it's the same thing. A ruler and the ruled. It's the same thing. Like, what differences is it if the ruler is different? In the end, it's still an overlord and a ruled population. So we tell ourselves a lot of sweet smelling, fancy words like democracy or democracy, republics, capitalism, capital, or yeah, capitalism. but it's the same general idea. But I mean, you can't get away from it. That's how people organize themselves. What really matters is the standard of living. We used to have a lot better of a standard of living. But it's like every year, the amount the amount of money that these elites extract from us are just it's a little bit more every year. They take a little bit more. We get a little bit less. Our quality of life goes down just a little bit. I was just talking about how badly Trump has fumbled all this. I mean, it's starting to look like a domino effect where like some of this stuff I didn't uh realize. Like I knew that what he did was going to be it was going to have knock-on effects. And but it's like how can you know? Like I don't know about every sector of the economy. You know what I mean? Like I don't know it that in depth. I just understood that wow, this is really going to affect us. Like this strait is going to be closed. All the oil practically goes through there. I didn't realize and Europe is like NATO is like fixing to be done, dude. Not big old fumble. No, this is like a catastrophe. This is a straight up catastrophe. Dude, our empire is Europe. The American empire is Europe. And we're talking about walking away from it. We're bitching at Europe, who are our vassals. They are our bitch. And we're screaming at them. Trump is screaming at them right now. This is not smart. This is dumb. And the rest of the world's saying, like, you do realize, like, they're your vassals, right? Like, you can make all the you can make the whatever you can do whatever you want, America. It's your prerogative. But if you can walk away from Europe if you want and destroy NATO, and then they'll go their own way. Same thing with fucking South Korea. Bro, literally talking shit to South Korea, talking shit to Japan. Bro, imagine, have you ever, like, I've been at jobs or where, like, a job where the boss is screaming or like a father is screaming at the kids and nobody really did anything. And you just get this cringe, like, dude, those are your subordinates. Like, it's on you. You're screaming at them because of your fuck up. Bro, imagine how Japan feels getting screamed at us or getting screamed at because Trump fucked up and now he's fucking reaming all of our allies out. This is insane. He's like destroying our empire, like Godzilla, like just stamping his feet like a little bitch. I mean, all of a sudden, all of the fucking little bumper stickers that fucking liberals would have and shit. No, it makes sense to me now. I'm not so sure that it would have been worse with Kamala. Dude, I, I don't know if you realize, but like the Middle East, that is our empire, man. That's why we live so well. Is because we have they're buying our dollars. We don't export anything. We don't make anything. The reason why we live so well is they buy dollars. We make dollars. That's why we live so well, because we make dollars. And this guy just fucked this up. Like it makes no sense to me. Like what was he thinking? Now he's screaming at our allies because he fucked up. Like that's not smart. I get it. I get what you're saying. But they didn't start this fight. They don't have the ability to step up. Like do you not realize that? They're fucking broke as a joke and they're overrun with foreigners, migrants. Like they're not doing so hot, not hot at all. They don't have the weaponry and stuff to even send for help. They don't even have that. So I mean, and I get what you're saying, but it's like, dude, you can't get blood from a stone. You can't get blood from a stone. Screaming at those people, it's not going to fix anything. And that's kind of like, that just, to me, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you yell at, yelling at your subordinates? It'd be like Rome screaming at Greece or fucking Gaul. How dare you just stand by and watch us get sacked by such as, like, it's ridiculous. It's like, okay, maybe you're right, but it's not going to save your life. Like, it's not going to save your life. Why don't you get off your ass and do something about it? Fucking figure it out. Screaming at other people, that's not going to save America or the American empire. That's the problem. Is he is making it worse. He's not just fumbling the ball, he's also screaming at our fucking allies and running, it's making the whole world hate our guts. The whole fucking planet. Unless we want Russia and China as allies, I guess we could do that. I mean, who is I get what you're saying, Chuck Norris, but yo, he already has almost the whole world hates us. And he's just making the last few of them that don't hate us. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Are you trying to condemn us? Ugh. And I don't think Kamala would have done all this. I don't think she would have been this bad. I don't think she would have had the intellect to be this bad. Try, like, how they say, like, the people that make the most or fuck things up the worst are the people that think they know what they're doing. So they start pulling levers and shit because they think they know what's up. And then they get slightly in above their head, and next thing you know, they're fucking frozen up and they don't know what to do, crying for help. I mean, you can see Trump, he's just as frustrated as all get out. I mean, the he's in way over his head. Hegseth, way over his head. The Iranians look more put together than we do. It's awful. I mean, it's really, it bothers me. Yeah, that's kind of what it does seem like, Harkin. And it sucks because, like, without even me realizing it, I'm like a liberal. like like I'm on that side now because they were fucking right. They were right. This guy has really done a lot of damage. And these are unforced errors. We're fixing to hit a recession because of this fucking nincompoop. Like, we're about to we're in for it. We have a fucking bumpy ass road ahead of us. Straight up, man. And we can thank Donald Trump. And even I, like, kind of want to like, I'd love to be able to blame Netanyahu, but blame, it's for small children and God. Like, it's not for us. Straight up, it's not for us. Because it doesn't fix anything. Yeah, oh, so what? It was somebody else's fault, but the fallout is still ours. You know, like, we were the apex, we were the hegemon. Hegemons can't afford mistakes. You don't get mistakes when you literally have China and shit, kicking ass and taking names, or better yet, not kicking ass and not losing fights. I mean, in China, they have the right idea. They just said, you know what? These guys are going to fuck it up themselves. They're going to step on their own dick. We don't need to fight them. We'll just wait. Why would we get millions of our people killed? They're buying our shit and they're just swinging. They got a fucking These assholes pulled the pin out of a grenade and they're over there juggling a grenade. We'll leave them to it. We'll leave them to it. They'll do our work for us. That's what it looks like too. You know, it's like Trump, in an effort to, to avoid death, he committed suicide. Oh, what's up, Brandon? Welcome. Damn, I picked up a lot of people last night. Actually, I think I picked up like almost 100 subscribers like this week. It's actually a pretty good week. I mean, it kind of surprised me, especially last night. But I think it's because of the news has been so momentous. It's been quite negative. I hear you, man. I mean, honestly, I thought the same thing. I would have thought it would have been pretty legit to have like Ottawa. Weren't they talking about it? Wasn't Ottawa talking about, like, they were talking about doing that? Or because, and it actually, it leaves the, yeah, that's kind of how I see it too, Brandon. Like, she wasn't smart enough to think that she could do shit like this and do it successfully. She would have, it may have been bad too, but and not only that, but what if Kamala just let her advisors do their thing? It could be like a Bill Clinton type presidency, or even Joe. Like, the only reason why Joe Biden, that was like kind of worse because of the border. That's it. If it wasn't for that border being open, everybody would be screaming for Biden again if it wasn't for that border. That's the only reason why people say Kamala would have been worse, because they know how upset that 20 million or 10 million, how much that bothered white people. That really bothered white people. And they're using that. That is literally their leverage on us right now. Because I thought the same thing. It took a lot to get me to see it in another light, but do see it that way now. But that's their trump card. That's how they can, literally, the trump card. That's how they get us to swallow the bullshit that they spoon feed us by saying, well, you could have another 20 million. And I guarantee you that they did that, let those 20 million in so that we would lay down when they did shit like this, like getting us into war. Yeah, that's what I've seen. Yeah, conservative Canada. It is. People are very much so into. Yeah, it's the one that has all the oil too. They're for sure. They really like. I think it's Ottawa. Yeah, he absolutely turned his back on us. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Some people don't want to believe it. There are these nutcases on Twitter who are just like, they would die for Donald Trump, apparently. Apparently, that's how it seems. Like they would die for the guy. It's disgusting, though. Like, how can this, it's such bullshit. It's, how can there be this cult of personality while this guy is literally Godzilla stomping all over our empire? And I mean, I'm just like, oh my God. Like, every time I see a new news conference or a new shit, I'm just like, no fucking way is this guy just hammering our allies right now. Like, this guy is chiseling apart our empire in real time. Not only that, but AI, bro, this fucking choke down of all the oil in the Gulf, bro. They're ceasing and halting construction on data centers and shit. Claude, also already came out, the Claude AI, they already came out and said, yeah, there's going to be, there's going to be usage restrictions. They can't, because of this halt on energy, and also because, that has knock-on effects because people, they're not able to get their oil out. The Arabs can't invest money, because as we buy oil, they take that money and invest it directly into AI. All that stops. All these different, like that was holding our economy up. That's what's that's what's killing me, man, is that was holding our economy up. That was giving people jobs because they were building these data centers. It was cheap gas, jobs. I mean, because we don't make anything. We rely on construction building shit in our country. And the data centers was a lot of it's where a lot of our growth was coming from. And all of a sudden, that shit ain't happening now because we're going into a recession. So there's no golden era. AI is not going to save us, or at least it doesn't seem like it. Like I said, Claude, and that bullshit ass little Disney porn app called Sora by OpenAI. Yeah, that they've called, or they said that they're getting rid of that. They're closing that. Because that was like a little research and development lane that they were just seeing if they could figure out how to make money that way. Now they're closing that down. So all of a sudden, these AI companies that were just exploding months ago, months ago, a month ago, really, when like what, February 28th, they were exploding. And then this guy gets the bright idea that he's just going to fuck it all up. He basically like fucking just on the risk board or the chessboard, just threw all the pieces everywhere. Like, bro, we were doing pretty good there. What the fuck, man? And, part of me, it's like nothing is so set in stone as what, like, the shit that is said on the news, that shit isn't gospel. It's not etched in granite or anything like that. But it does mean something, like they don't know the exact details, but the general gist of what they say is right. It's not very prescient. Like you don't, they only tell you last minute. Like they're still not really, they're just starting to say that things aren't looking good uh, going forward. Like a recession may be coming or is coming from what I understand. But, honestly though, I do firmly believe that everything happens for a reason, you know, and there's a, there's a, an argument that could be made that we need a little bit of adversity. I was saying this last night, I think. Like we're kind of due for that. We've been living high off the hog since the fall of the Soviet Union. And our elites, man, they're like drunk. It's like they're drunk on their own power and they're just belligerently. I mean, this stuff that Trump just pulled, it's beyond stupid. It's a catastrophe, a tragedy more like I seen this guy was talking about, the change of dynamics on the world stage, and he's like, uh the dude on Breaking Points, Ryan Grimm, he's like, do countries ever just abdicate power? Do they ever just give up power? And the guy goes, well, typically, not this one, apparently. They do. Because nobody ever just gives up power except us, except this time. We literally just like, here, come to the buffet table, gentlemen, eat our body like we're Jesus or something. And it's crazy. I mean, we kind of had like I think the whole strategy was to sort of keep China boxed into South Asia or Southeast Asia because we owned everything else. There's nothing they could do because we already owned everything. It's like it doesn't matter how much growth you have, you know, we own everything. Well, first of all, they've been buying our debt, so that if you owe like they own us basically. Yeah, we own everything, but they own us, which is whack. But on top of that, now we're fumbling the bag. We're fumbling the ball here. We're not playing. This is very sloppy. And like for like you have to play the game well if you want to maintain an empire. If you want something like Rome, you have to play chess very well. And you have to do it for a long time. That means you have to educate your people. You have to you have to create the environment that will produce leaders that can do that. Man, and we just have not been doing a good job at that at all. Not since like the 60s, man. We've just been we've given in to the whole. It's not about maintaining an empire or maintaining a position anymore. It's about maintaining ideology and shit. I mean, the progressives, they did this shit to us and basically brought us to our knees. And then it just takes a few fuck ups like this with good evening. Yeah, how's it going, Mackenzie? Yeah, the progressives, they brought us to the point where a couple of presidencies, a couple of bad presidents would be curtains for us. And that's kind of what they did. I mean, we have a whole generations of men, white men in America that have just been straight up snubbed, denied any opportunity. I mean, how arrogant Americans were for the last 50 years. Like, what were they thinking? I mean, apparently they went to the moon and they just thought, well, we can, we went to the moon, so therefore we can socially design a society that will go to the moon itself. Like what we'll just design a space age society and it will kick ass. We will. Another thing too, and this is actually off topic, but like the idea at one point. Right now, though, like the progressives have gotten all these women in America to have more loyalty to somebody that lives on the other side of the planet than their own unborn children. They will go and get shot in the head to make sure somebody who's not an American can stay here. But they will, they see so much. They have so much loyalty for that person they don't know, but for the kid in their stomach, they have zero loyalty they owe to that kid. They owe no loyalty to that child. Why would anybody think that if like that you can make a deal with a person like that? A person like that is willing to kill other things, like basically kill other people. Like how can you to think that they're not just going to get rid of you as soon as it's convenient? Like they've made us like people with no loyalty to anybody. None. So much so that our women, they don't even feel they owe loyalty, that they owe obligation and responsibility to their own unborn kid. Like if you don't have loyalty to that, what loyalty do you have for anything? Honestly. I mean, do you even have a loyalty to yourself? That's like one step removed from suicide. Like straight up. You're not killing yourself, but you're killing your own line. You're killing your own genetics. And it's just it boggles the mind. What kind of an awful society, awful civilization come out of all of this? It's just awful. I mean, I feel like we kind of are we're either on the path to redemption or the path to damnation, kind of a deal. And I do, there's I see a lot of will to change in our country, a lot of will to change, actually. I think this was acceptable governance 30 years ago, like we're we've had enough of it though. We've had a bellyful of this this foreign conquest, foreign adventure shit. Just a bellyful. We're done. I think we've had a bellyful of all of the progressive stuff. We've had a bellyful of the climate change. They don't even bring that shit up no more. Thank God, by the way. But it's all their great ideas have just fizzled out into our own degeneracy, our own destruction. It seems like it. Everybody's waking up. That's the silver lining anyway. Means all their little pet projects that they had that they were trying to shove down everybody's throat, the late 90s, or the new millennia, it's gone. It just didn't work out. Maybe you may be right about them going through Canada, but honestly, why would they do that? They don't have to do that. China, they have a historical strategy that they use. Like they've always used this strategy. China's such a big nationality. I mean, a nation is not a government. A nation, actually, the definition of a nation is one people, a people. It has to be a group of people that they all agree that they belong to that national identity. And China has been around as long as the Persians, if not longer. They've seen conquerors, they've conquered, and they've seen these cycles. They've seen civilizational cycles. They've seen like all of them. They have turned over so many different civilizations, and that's their strategy, and it always was their strategy. They were Think about this. Can you think of one battle where China won it? Throw one out for me, fellas. Can you even think of a war that China fought and won besides Mulan? Can you even think of when China had even think of an army of China? They don't exist because that's not China's strategy at all. Their strategy is to outgrow you, out invent you. I mean, their strategy is to do it better, not to beat you. They don't have no intention of fighting us, dude. They have zero intention of fighting us. Yeah, yeah, nation is definitely. I didn't realize. Yeah, I knew nation was Latin, but yeah, it just means a people. Yeah, it has nothing to do with a system of government. None of that. No, no, it's just a people. A nationality is just. But in China, their strategy is not to beat us in war. They're not the Russians. They're not. They have a huge military now, but like historically, can you think of when China ever had a military? Fuck, why did that just get rid of that? Oh, sorry about that, Harkin. I'll add you as a regular real quick. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, I need to get rid of that bot. I just, every now and again, somebody gets in here that is trolling and shit. And it's just a pain in the ass. You know? Yeah, China, there we go. Their strategy is not to beat us in a head-to-head combat. That's our strategy. That's America's strategy, is to fight wars and to beat people head on. That's not China's. That's nobody else's. I don't like that. It sounds like clarinet or whatever it is. But yeah, China, that's not their strategy. That has never been their strategy. They're just a people they're pretty industrious. They have their own really rich culture. They don't need to take anything from other people. They have. Yeah, maybe I mean, that was a big ass wall, man, and they a lot of people died building it. Whatever they did it for good reason, that's for sure. We know that. Yeah, anything you're I mean, and that's not a bad way to look at things. Anything is possible. And only place I've ever traveled had zero desire. Why do you say that you have zero desire? It wasn't any good? Oh, it was a shithole. Ooh, that's gross. That's fucking whack. I mean, I've it looks beautiful. Like you see that movie Mulan, the live action one. Holy crap, that it's just so pretty. Like some of their movies, I've seen a few movies where they were pretty they wanted to make it look or they made a movie that was about aesthetics. It was about how pretty they could make it look and they were Chinese. It I mean, and it's such a vast place. They have, we have a huge variety of flora and fauna in America. Same thing with Europe. China has just as diverse of an ecosystem. They have same thing with Russia. Russia and China and America. Those are like the three one body countries that are just, they span over multiple different uh habitats, deserts, rainforests, just huge. Like China, they have the Gobi Desert, they have the Himalayas, like they have so many different yeah, Mongolia was a superpower. What's crazy is the Japanese beat the Mongolians back twice, two different invasions, and they beat them both times. I think the first time they got destroyed by China has genocided their own people. I don't know if you would say genocided. You know, I'm very weary of those kind of words like genocided. That word, it's such a loaded word. I'm weary of loaded words now. I've become very suspicious of those words because when you say genocided, you're trying to impart a value judgment on the person you're talking about, on the entity you're talking about. You're not just subjectively telling me what is going on there. You're telling me what's going on and how I should feel about it. Ow, why 86? Yeah, I used to mess around with this chick from Hong Kong. She had like I think she moved here in her 20s. Yeah, exactly. What you said, Acadian. That's what I'm saying is no, I don't get my eyebrows waxed. That's just how they are. Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a pretty gnarly vocal fry. I don't know. Something's up with my voice though. For the last like 2 months, it's just felt different. I'm just so weary of all of this value, the value judgment language. Yeah, maybe there is forced labor, but people would say there's forced labor happening here. No, anything you can say about China, I can say the exact same thing about America. For a fact. You say we don't have forced labor here. What about prisons? Everybody in prison does forced labor. We do the exact same shit, except you know, we dress ourselves up by putting names on our evil shit. I mean, prisons having forced labor, it's not evil, but it's the same thing. It's like it's easy to use these words. Anything you can say about Iran, about China, about Russia, we could say the exact same thing about here. But somehow it's okay when we do it, right? No. It's it's like I refuse to call these other countries evil when we do the same stuff. Like as long as I don't have Ben Shapiro eyebrows, like the bitches are a caterpillar. It's funny how people they they fucking they uh do a they caricature him. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Canadian. That's exact or Acadian. That's exactly what I mean. You know, they have forced labor there. We have forced labor here. You know, and think about this. We used to have real forced labor, like chain gang, like Cool Hand Luke. You know, that shit's you know, you think forced labor is bad now? Chain gangs, there's a reason why we have such bad connotations with chain gangs because they used to be hell on earth, man. Hell on earth. They fed you shitty. They worked your ass from sun up to sundown. This is down in the South too. They hanged a 18-year-old protester. How do you know he's 18? How do you know he's 18? I don't believe any of this shit anymore. I don't believe it. You know, if I see a dossier and it has, you know, seems to have its I's crossed and its T's dotted, maybe, but I don't believe somebody just saying an 18-year-old was hanged. That doesn't mean that that actually happened. You could just be saying that, you know. And I mean, I'm just saying that as a point. Like, I mean, I'm sure you're not bullshitting me, but who's to say that the outlet you got that from isn't trying to bullshit or the person that they got their information from? And that's the problem. That's the thing. Yeah, Chuck, exactly, Chuck. It just I have been blinded by this propaganda so bad, and I just refuse to swallow that shit anymore. I'm not doing it. I mean, maybe they did hang a kid that was 18, but we hang people all the time, you know, and bad shit happens here too. But to just say they hung an 18-year-old kid, well, we don't know why they did it. You know, maybe they had good reason. Maybe he was a spy. You never know. I mean, that's what I'm saying is I'm not gonna believe this stuff anymore because that Trump got us that way. The Israelis, they keep people foolishly believing the shit they say. Like all that stuff about human shields, it's just absolute bullshit. What's up, David? Yeah, Mulan was a what the fuck? Yeah, Mulan was a good movie. I always liked that. It was one of Disney's better late movies. What is that? Coin happens to coincide with our bias. Oh, welcome aboard, big dog. What was that? It's gnarly to look at me. It's not that I don't trust anything that happens unless it coincides with my. I don't even trust the stuff that coincides with my bias anymore. The thing is you know, right now I'm on a stream talking. I can't just like it's hard to just say your opinion. You know, I could tell you how what I want the way I want things to be, of course. But like I am trying to be I'm trying to know the facts, okay? Not just how I want to feel. I'd like to know what actually is. And honestly, the way like from what's happened and all of the propaganda that I've realized that I've been fed, I don't want to believe the shit that my all of my prior biases. Like I was biased against Iran, not anymore. I actually side with them over Israel. I was biased for Israel for a long, probably when not even didn't even realize it, but not anymore. Well, I don't know if it's that we haven't scratched the surface, but we know the gist of it. We know that there's a ruling elite and that there is a group, a much bigger group that is ruled by the elite. We know that. Yeah, we have it. Yeah, we all have that same issue, the issue of finding outlets that can be trusted, news that can be trusted. Halfbone, who's that? Yeah, it's hard to find honest journalism. Most of them are full of shit, and they have biases. They have different. They want their own outcomes as well. So yeah, it's hard to find them, but you can parse through the information. It is possible because usually the truth, news, or stuff that's objectively true, it doesn't use those value judgment words. It doesn't use words like genocide and shit. It's that kind of stuff. It's where the words themselves are supposed to change how you think. Man, and I was thinking earlier today too about how, man, there's something to wisdom, to becoming an adult. It's like it's kind of hard to explain, but until I was just a couple like in the last year or two, I wouldn't say I really didn't understand the way the world worked. Didn't really understand, have the score, actually understand what was happening around me. And I've only just begun to understand. And I was thinking about how many of my friends that are dead, I mean, how many of them never even understood how the world worked? They died before they ever. And if I had died any time before the last 2 years, I would have been the same thing for me. I wouldn't have been on the planet long enough to really even take stock in what the hell's going on. And I just look back, thinking, like shaking my head retrospectively, like, man, and all the times that I just dismissed older people's opinions, all the time that I thought I knew as much as they did, or, because they talk so much, older people, they're like, oh, you don't know anything, this and that. It puts a chip on your shoulder. Yeah, I don't know who Rathbone is, but it puts a chip on your shoulder. And I just think back, like, man, I wish I had understood that when I was younger. And it's just crazy how it doesn't matter. You have to like get things into perspective for yourself before you really understand. Somebody can tell you how things are, but you don't really have that confidence where you kind of know what you've seen. You just know what you've heard, and you don't. Maybe you wouldn't even be able to recreate or figure it out on your own, even if you know what the deal is. And somebody could have told me what was going on in the world, and I probably wouldn't have seen or understood. You know, a lot of times, if like when you hear something, it doesn't mean anything. Like somebody can tell you something, and if it doesn't mean anything to you, it doesn't mean anything to you, and you don't remember it. Whereas if somebody gives you a phrase or something that evokes an emotion out of you, or you understand, as soon as they say it, your mind attaches a ton of different information to it. But it's like now that I've kind of figured some things out for myself, now all of a sudden You talk about Israel or the Middle East, I feel emotion over that, whereas before I didn't, more or less. Yeah, it was garbage. That's yeah, the address. Like his all of his addresses are just shit. They're just propaganda, just slop. And I mean, honestly, I'm tired of it. He's old as dirt. He slurs his words. Like he fired Bondi today. And like, is that supposed to fix anything? Is that supposed to make me feel better? Like, too little, too late. And you can see that he understands that there's a good chance that he's fucked. That. Yeah, I very much so doubt that as well. Yeah, well, Jay Mieska, that's what I was talking about. I've lost a lot of friends to heroin myself. Copy and paste bullshit. Yeah, I mean, my whole generation got wiped out practically. I mean, I'm like one out of dozens of friends I had that I grew up with. I'm like one of three that are alive still. Police videos. Huh. Yeah, well, I think are like the people under 40, their parents sheltered, like my parents sheltered me. They would try to be like this buffer that kind of softened any reality that would be uncomfortable for me. I mean, I that was decades ago, but right, exactly. Like you're right, Brandon. I was thinking about this earlier with all these soldiers. Israel, they will not even commit their own troops. They refuse to commit their own men to these this combat. The only combat that their men are or that is worthy of their prestigious human beings is shooting children. That's their thing. They're, their men are just too good for anything else. They can only be used for executing children. Their men and women in their IDF, their bullshit little force. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there that he kind of knows that he's screwed. He's damned either way. Either way, there's no way. People aren't going along with this bullshit. It's garbage. Nobody wants to. We're done with these fucking wars. We've been through them. This one looks to be it looks like it's going to be the worst. Like by far going to be the worst because Iraq, it was a ragtag. It wasn't shit. And Libya, Syria, they're nothing compared to Iran and Israel. Honestly, I'm glad that they didn't succeed because they wanted to have the Middle East for themselves. That's what they wanted. That's what they thought they were going to get. To They thought that, oh, we'll get America to go in there and do this for us, and then we'll get all this power. Well, you know, the devil messes with the best laid plans. We all know that. That's just how things go. I need to step off and use the bathroom right quick. I'll be back in 3 minutes. Hmm. Sorry about that. Yeah, this the idea of the idea that we go in boots on the ground. I don't think I pray to God that this doesn't happen. I mean, because to our credit, we do not have the appetite for a war, and they know this. They know it. We have no desire for this crap, and I feel like Trump. He's kind of got that. You can tell that he understands that this isn't. He's going to go down as a villain. Yeah, when I was years ago, I that OxyContin that got a lot of people hooked on opiates, and all the people that got hooked on them, they didn't know that that shit was the same thing as heroin. Right? It is fucked up, man. Our men and women, they're just being sent over there as cannon fodder for Netanyahu. Cannon fodder, man. And you know, to die in these drone wars, golly, it sounds like Clone Wars, like uh some Star Wars shit. But it's such an ignominious way to go. Like in Ukraine, how they get chased down by these suicide drones or whatever they are. Oh my god, man. It's so difficult to watch. Like difficult to watch, man. It's just like, oh my god. It's it's much worse than a horror movie. I mean, it's like, whoa. That's because it's real, and you know that it's in the realm of possibilities that that could happen to any of us. You know, uh, it's in the realm of possibility that I could be drafted. I mean, it went from 32 to like, or 32 or 34. Now it's 44 or 42. They can pull people in for that much with that age. That's like all of a sudden I had gotten out of selective services. I grew out of it, and all of a sudden they pull me right back. They pull me right back in. Like, damn, that's crazy. And that means going off and going to war is absolutely on the table. Yeah, man, that drone footage. Yeah, living your whole life just to go down like that, running away in fear for your life. Yeah, they changed the draft age, Mackenzie. They damn sure did. Oh yeah, I already knew that, Harkin. It's kind of grim. If we're being honest here, that's kind of grim, man, that all of it that they just like added another generation, a generation that just grew out of selective service, just they pulled it right back in. Now they have double the pool, basically. But it is the thing. It is something nightmares are made of. It's no joke, man. The way like being chased down by a remote control fucking drone, little quadcopter. Ugh. Yeah, the zombie dance. Yeah, that drone shit, man. It is so grim. It's grim. It's diabolical. You see those guys as soon as they see that drone, they know they're dead. Man, that's like Terminator shit right there. You know what I mean? Like some visceral, like just, dude, I just wouldn't want to participate in that. I mean, and nobody does, but why are our overlords, why are they setting us up for this? Hmm. I think you're right there, Chuck Norris. It seems like a cleansing to me, an ethnic cleansing, because they're literally replacing the Ukrainians with Indians right now, basically. And while they're drafting all of the Ukrainians to ship them to the war front, so they're rounding up the Ukrainians to have them slaughtered and butchered in a meat grinder while they import people from India. It's it's disgusting. Like what could they possibly be doing? It's awful. And they're like kind of surprised that the Ukrainian women don't like Indian men. Go figure. I mean, it just seems like we have no friends as peoples, any of us, any peoples. No shit. Yeah, I knew a couple of people that deployed that were in Iraq. I remember one of them coming back and he had been hit by like a few AK rounds in his chest, and they like knocked him on his ass. He was in a Humvee where shooting a turret. He was doing a 50 caliber and he got hit in the chest like twice. And then he proceeded to cut the building in half with the 50 cal. Like, but even that stuff is honestly, I that's awful that we did that stuff because, you know, for all of the demonization that Muslims have gone through, that our society has done, the propaganda to get us to hate those people, it was all for this. It was all so that we would feel comfortable with killing them. And it's uncomfortable to say that, but that's what it was. And they started all this by saying, "Oh, those people, they hate us for our freedom." No, they hate us because we keep attacking them and blowing up their children. And greater Persreal or Persreal, excuse me, Israel, Persia. Huh. Yeah, I think that Smurf villages. I already know. Yeah, the what do they call them? They're like homesteaders, right? The homesteaders killing, where they kill the real locals. They like hunt them down. It's crazy. Yeah, they are psychos. And I honestly, my heart kind of goes out to the Muslims. I feel bad about it. I think it's kind of it's evil what has been perpetrated against them. They didn't ask for any of this. They live on land that's rich in oil. And for that, they're persecuted. They've been targeted for extermination. Same as us, really. They were just targeted for extermination sooner. I know they're called settlers. I just thought you were using other term. You were just trying not to say it. I know. That's why I said homesteaders. But they were targeted with extermination, and we were too. We have been too. And from what I understand, it didn't work. They were trying to replace everybody, and then come to find out, like I said, Ukrainian women didn't like Indians. American women don't like Indians, don't like Mexicans, which, nothing on them, but Mexican women probably like Mexican men, and vice versa. Just how that shit goes. Like, you're not just gonna get rid of your population like that. I don't, it's not that simple. They tried it. And who knows what they're trying to do, but they perpetrated this stuff. Oh, what's up, Arceus? Yeah, they've perpetrated this against the Middle East Think about all of the propaganda you've heard. Really, they're not crazy ideologues. They're not religious. They're not drunk on religion. They're regular people. What happened? They're responding to the aggression from our government, basically. But they were able to spin it in the news because I remember it clearly. They made them look like psychos, and they're not. Most of the time, they were just fighting back. Yeah, I mean, we've seen what Israel did to Gaza, and they say, "Oh, does Israel have a right to defend themselves?" Like, I guess so, but you don't have the right to do what you're doing. It's evil. And I wouldn't say it's they're defending themselves at all. It's an offensive game. They're taking ground. Like that's not defensive, no matter what they say. It's not defensive. And the Palestinians, they did the October 7th stuff. And you know something? It is evil. It was evil. And it absolutely was evil, but you know something? What the Israelis are doing to them is evil. And it doesn't really surprise me that those people they retaliate. They broke out of their prison. They broke out of it and they attacked a bunch of people. And it's like, yeah, that's what people do when they're imprisoned and they're murdered. Their kids are shot. They're in, like I seen this shit where the Israelis were what's up, Goldie? Yeah, definitely did provoke it, and then they let it happen. They invite basically it was an invitation to come kill people in their land, so that they had a reason. We would do the same. I seen a thing where Israel, it was a guided tour of Israelis. They go into this village and like lock down the village. All these people are trying to grocery shop and shit, and they just walk right in with soldiers. There'd be people in like regular clothes with their kids. These soldiers are escorting them, decked out from head to toe in combat gear, assault gear. They come out in assault gear, and they're almost like a SWAT team, and they treat those people like they're criminals, like how ICE was basically treating people when they were on the street, but just really aggressive, belligerent, throwing them around, pointing guns at them. This was those people's. This was their village market, and the Israelis can come in and lock it down and attack them basically anytime they want, and those Palestinians have to take it or go back inside. And it's like, well, if the Israelis can do that to those people, and they do it a lot, human beings can't take very much of that. Yeah, they do have the right to defend themselves, but that's not really for I don't and when they ask that question, I'm thinking like, if you have the right to do it, then why are you asking? The fact that if somebody asks you that question, it's like, well, then obviously you don't feel like you have the right to do it. If you're asking other people, then like it's not like we bestow rights. They wanted to do something that other people would not go along with. So that's why they asked that question. And it's fucked up too, because somehow they're able to spin it or set it up so that it's just bad enough to where nobody else wants to participate, but not bad enough to where other people will object. or like, like with object with some actual force, or like, something with some teeth. Like they just let Israel. Yeah, that's true. With ice. Yeah, I was just saying. Uh, I was trying to describe it pretty rough and physical, belligerent, because that's what it was. In Israel, like I heard Nick, he said this last night, I think, where we can probably probably come out of this not too bad if we just check Israel and cut a deal with Iran. Hmm. Feeling lonely in Rumbleland. I hear that. Yeah, if we would just check Israel, that like Israel is the problem. They've always been the problem. And all we have to do is get a hold of them. And all of this would be over. And it really is that simple. You can see it's that simple. The Middle East, they're hollering. It's like catch a tiger by the toe. If he hollers, let him go. Yeah, the Middle East has been hollering for 40 years. They've been screaming, get these fucking people out of here. They're butchers. They're murderers. Get them out of here. We don't want them here. And I understand what that's like. We want these foreigners to go home. Yeah, Rumble. Oh, I didn't realize that was you over there, Jason. I was wondering, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy that's commenting so much that's I've never seen before? But seriously, the Middle East, ever since Israel has been there, I mean, it was such an imposition. Why did they have to do that? Why couldn't they just we could extract the wealth out of the Middle East without Israel being there? We don't need this group of troublemakers there. And Golda Meir, the woman prime minister of Israel from like the 60s, they asked that lady after a battle with Egypt, and they asked her, they were like, would you have used nuclear weapons? Without batting an eye, this bitch says yes, she would have used nukes. These people are going to destroy the planet. Or destroy life on this planet. When you think about these people and you see how they are in their Knesset, you see them. You see these people. They're Jewish supremacy, their Israeli supremacy. Do you trust those people? Like, I get the feeling that they think they're special. I get the feeling that they would be willing to kill everybody if they were going to if somebody actually tried to get rid of them, all of them, they would just blow up the whole planet. And I think they wouldn't think twice to do it. I think they would do it without a thought, without question, and they all would. But no other country is like that. You feel me? No other country is like that. We aren't like that. We don't want to, like, that's the last thing we want to do. Russia, nobody else wants to blow the whole planet up. But for some reason, Israel is okay with that. The older blind man who was a refugee from Myanmar. Oh, wow. Froze to death, huh? What's up, Bob? Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, the ice shit is over. Like, I don't want to commiserate about ice. You know, And I'm starting to realize that, you know, they let the fucking they didn't the border they invited those people here. That shit wasn't that wasn't an accident. Why would they fix it? You know, they wanted those people here. Our leaders. You know, when COVID was over, they needed labor. They needed cheap labor because they realized, "Oh, this is a perfect chance to lay off most Americans. We can get rid of these people and we don't have to have an excuse because we can just pretend that it was COVID. We can fire most of them and we'll bring in new cheap laborers." Do any of you can you, any of you even say that I'm wrong? Like I'm sure it struck a chord with all of you. Yeah, like I'm starting to realize, wait a second, none of this shit, like none of this was an accident at all, not even close. And it bothers me because our country, like I liked America. It was a great place to be, like such a great place. But and they just keep lowering our standard of living. It just keeps going lower and lower until there will be no benefit to living here and people will start flowing back the other way. And it's just like, wow. You know, there is no new world that people can retreat to or discover. Like that sucks. You know, that's awful. Because that's what happened with the old world. They the the elite, the ruling class had fucked it up so bad that people were just dying to get the hell out of there. And that's what they're doing here. They're just mismanaging this place so badly. God, Nick, I don't think like anything could piss me off anymore than how they're managing the decline and making and speeding it up. That's what it feels like. They're fucking speeding it up. MAGA is now MEGA. Yeah, it is. And what's fucked up, I don't even think Israel is going to be around that long. Israel may be a fucking, it may be gone in a generation. It may not even exist anymore. I could totally see a future where Israel didn't exist anymore. And it's funny, it's not really funny, but you know, they full well intended to make Iran no longer exist. And I think they just ended up sealing their own fate. Like they can't if they can't live in the Middle East without killing everybody around them, then they're just not going to live there. Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it, Acadian. Yeah, they are doing what's just in their own self-interest. I don't know why we expect them to care about like they it's apparent to me they got rid of they stopped caring about what we thought a long time ago. I mean, it's plain as day that it's just not something that they consider anymore. Maybe it was in the 70s or in the 60s or whatever, but it ain't anymore. They couldn't care less. Patagonia? Yeah, I heard that Israel was trying to do Cyprus too. Like they think they're going to colonize. They're barely surviving as it is. What they want to do is take other people's land and replace them. Like, that's so fucked up. Take good land, land that people want to live on, land that's good land that people would want to live on, whether or not, doesn't matter. Like California is good land. They just want to take some of that land, put their own people on it, and then if other people want to live there too, then they got to be there. Then they got to be slaves. Basically, they have to be subjects. It's like, man, we can't let these people get a hold of anything. The whole planet will end up just like pre Christianity, where people murder isn't illegal, or at least killing somebody isn't illegal, where dueling is perfectly acceptable. People, as long as somebody else is a willing participant, you can kill each other. Like, oh man, it could be bad. It could be really bad. And that's how it starts being bad. I heard Fareed Zakaria saying, you know, America just basically said to the world, there's no more, the rules are off. Our rules based order, which is bullshit. Yeah, they were lucky they even got Israel, but they'll fuck up something good. But this rules based order, Trump basically announced the end of that. Well, and Carney said something about it too in Munich. But the rules based order that we had set up, that has kept people from invading each other for a long time, for like since the end of World War II, that's over, and might makes right again. It's weird too, because the Fareed, he said, the Trump has introduced to the world another way of being, or an other such and something, like an other. That's the way it was before we changed it. Like, what the fuck? It's going back to normal, if anything. But that's pretty much what Trump did, and I don't think anybody's really prepared for that new software update. I don't think people are really prepared for that world. Where countries are just get swallowed up by other countries. It'll be honestly, I think it's actually what we fought the Soviet Union over for a century. Like, that was the world they were trying to bring about, more or less. I mean, we're doing ourselves dirty here. I feel like we're like our own worst enemy. We used to advocate for democracy and shit, and because we did it better at the time. But now it's like our advocacy isn't advocacy. We just convince people not to do it our way nowadays. That's how it feels to me, anyway. Like, we don't give any, we don't give other people an incentive to deal with us, and to be like, we're not honest with them. Like, Trump just fucking sets these traps and shit. It's like, where do we think we're getting? If this is like, if we were on a schoolyard, if you were on a schoolyard and you used these tactics, you would have no friends like, so fast. And it's like, what are we doing here? Are we just trying to get ourselves exiled, or get ourselves turned into a pariah? Because that's what's happening. We used to make countries pariahs from our financial system, and that was like the worst thing we could do. Put sanctions and shit. No, we're the ones. All of a sudden, it's like we're about to get sanctioned. Like, the rest of the world is going to willingly stop dealing with us. Like, now we don't want to use your dollar anymore. And like I said before, the dollar is what we export. We don't build anything. We just sell people their money. Pretty much. That's our export, is the dollar. And that's why our standard of living is good. And Trump has just been taking that apart brick by brick by brick, man. And every time I see him speak, something else. One more thing, one more bridge that he's burned, like what's his name said earlier. He's just, it's like he's speed running. He's speed running the destruction, speed running the collapse. Like, why speed run it? Why make it worse? Why go out of your way to piss people off? Yeah, and our allies. Every time I turn around and see the new something else in the news, it's just our government talking shit to the rest of the world. Like, we're just gonna end up alone. Nobody's. I mean, all we're doing is talking shit. So you saying America is going to crush? Yeah, you're kind of right there, Wilson. Flip. That's kind of the deal, man. Like, that's what we're witnessing right now. If like you guys notice things are changing, that's what you're seeing. Is our prestige on the world stage is collapsing. And it's crazy because Obama actually fixed things with the JCPOA. Like, he actually cut a deal so that we could get out of the Middle East. And Trump is such a duck. Israel was able to convince him that that's the worst thing that we could do. Convince him that Israel were the good guys and that Iran were these meanies, these insane meanies that will blow up the world. It's obvious that Iran, they're not crazy. They're very deliberate, very measured. We're the ones that are fucking crazy. Or at least our power drunk elites are crazy. Donald Trump, he's managed to, I mean, to the point where I hear English podcasters and shit are like, what are you guys doing? Like, what the fuck is Trump doing? Because people that love America, and they're like, man, this is crazy. Like, you're kind of running us off. We don't understand what the hell is going on here. Like, why are you treating us like this? Why are you yelling at us like this? We don't want to die for Israel. Why? And they feel bad that our people are going to die for Israel. Like, man, that's not good. Like, these are foreign policy blunders. Like, we never used to make these fucking mistakes. Fuck. Fucking Trump. And they're still trying to smear Tucker and anybody who speaks out against it. They're still trying to, but it's not going to work because I don't think we have the ability to win this thing. And eventually, they just have to give up the Israelis and shit. Like, and Jake Tapper and all these people that are Jewish and Israel first, like Jake Tapper. Like, so, like what Jenkins says, he's right. So much of our media are a bunch of fucking Israeli shills, man. So much of it. I would say it is bigger than money too. It's more like power and money. You know, it's never just money because money, people can make a lot of money. It's the power too that really does something to people. Yeah, Iran, they know they're not stupid, and I'm pretty sure they sat down and said, "Okay, what's the weakness of America? Ah, they're a democracy. They have elections every 4 years. That's where they're weakest. So, if we can just make this so distasteful for them, we'll win. We make this distasteful and we drag it out, Trump will get thrown out of office and we'll and they'll win. And they're right. We haven't won a war like every war that we fought where they fought with us like with that in mind, with outlasting and making it like Vietnam, we lost. Yeah, we lost uh every time we try one of these wars, we lose. It's because they're never for us. The wars that we've fought as a country that were actually for us, we always win them. We always win those wars. If when we feel like we're fighting for ourselves, we're the greatest warriors on the planet. Like we conquer the whole fucking planet. But if it's not for us, we don't want anything to do with it. We just want to we have a great country, a great land, great people, smart people. So it's like why spend all of our lives fighting wars? We have so much to enjoy. Nobody wants to live as fucking warmongers just subjugating the world with weapons of war. Tired of that shit. Really. They have a lot of tariffs in Canada. I didn't even realize that. Is that why Trump's always bitching? I mean, that's why he always talking about tariffs. That tariff shit is ridiculous though. Absolutely ridiculous. It's just hurt us so far. Like Trump didn't even do a good job. Like I mean, I think he was right that the tariffs could help, but he did them so ill-advised, picking fights with people and then like making picking at a sore and then just keeping picking at it. Like he talks shit to Denmark and then he's turned them into his whipping boy where he's just beaten up on England, all the European countries. Like, dude, you've already got them pissed off at us. If you keep going, they're going to be in China's like that's definitely in the cards. We could absolutely fuck this up and end up driving Europe right into we drove Russia into China's arms. It's absurd. These countries don't want to be our enemies. They don't. Trump keeps picking fights with these people. Well, and Biden too, picking fights with Russia like, yo, Ukraine, that's not our business at all. Never was our business. I don't know why we ever got involved after the fall of the Soviet Union. Like, why do they have to become one of our vassals? And that's the thing about the empire I'm kind of tired of, where it's like you're either with us or you're against us. You're either in our empire and we own you, or you're over there on that team. I don't really like this shit anymore. It's not a good way to be. Like, how has it helped us? I know the elites find it useful because that's how they get us to fight wars. Yeah, we had a base in exactly. Well said, Mackenzie. We already have a base there. Why are you going to rattle your saber and piss them off? And it is a part of our empire. Absolutely. NATO is our empire. Why are we screaming at our vassals Why are we screaming at the countries that are in our empire? That makes no sense. None. Screaming at England, at France, like Trump. You realize these are like our historical allies. Not me. You're being transitioned into a new system. I don't know what you're talking about. Me. It's you. I know it sucks, but it is what it is. What do you mean by new system? It's the same system. It's the same system. God, that Hegseth, man. He's so cringe. He's in so above his head, man. He doesn't. Oh, we're going to liberate the people of Iran. 2 weeks later, we're going to bomb them back to the Stone Age. Really? Seriously though, that's insane, man. Like that's fucked up. Like, and that's what they said when we first went in there. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, I'm sure that would be good. Except I don't even believe that their regime there is as bad as they tell us they are. I don't believe it. Like everything they've told us is bullshit. Now I don't believe anything. Hmm. Well, now army generals and shit are being ousted, being run out of the regime. Like that's not good. That's really bad. Like to have officers like peeling off, that's not good. Look, I'm gonna put this on real quick. This is within the last hour. Hmm. Here we go.
Hegseth administration at the Pentagon wants to have people in place in the military who are willing to carry out the president's agenda. And that is incredibly unusual because the military is known for doing its work in a
Yeah, my
nonpartisan
dad
manner.
still
That
working.
this idea that only those generals and admirals who believe in a particular political agenda should have these posts is one of the things that is raising criticism here in Washington.
At the same time, the president posted video of a civilian bridge being blown up. Is this the intensification that Donald Trump had been threatening? And are we going to see more of this?
Well, this is something that the U.S. President Donald Trump had alluded to earlier on Thursday on his
That's what
personal
I'm
social
saying,
media
Colin. I
platform,
don't really see
basically
the
saying that if
evil shit
Iran
they're
does
talking
not
about.
capitulate to the U.S.'s 15-point proposal for
Seems like they
ending
just
the
want their
war,
oil.
which started on February 28th, that the U.S. would respond with more military strikes. Now, it's not clear that this was done immediately because of the president's posting on social media. Usually there's a little more advanced time and advanced planning before the military carries out strikes, but it's certainly the timing certainly does look suspicious. Critics also are suggesting that even though the U.S. alleges that this bridge was being used to transport material to build drones, which the Iranian military has been using against targets in the Middle East, both at U.S. targets and regional targets, there are criticisms that this was primarily a civilian bridge, and the Trump administration could be opening itself up to allegations of having committed a war crime.
Thank you so much, Rosalind Jordan, for us in Washington, D.C. We're going to bring in Mohammed Val in Tehran now. Mohammed, Iranian state television is saying the attack on the bridge consisted of a double-tap strike. Can you just run us through what they're saying happened
Exactly,
to the
Acadian.
emergency crews that were
You
responding
can
to
say
the
the
first
exact
strike?
same thing about us.
Yeah, they're saying that that double tap is the cause of the
That's evil
high number
shit.
of people killed and injured, because after the first
So
strike,
evil.
rescue workers rushed to the scene to help those who were wounded or killed, to dig up the killed people from under the rubble. And
That's
that's
terrible.
when, after a
Under the
brief
rubble.
interval, a second strike happened, and that was the reason why many people were killed. This bridge is a civilian facility, they say, and it is still under construction, by the way. And
we never did that
Nature Day
double
here
tap
in
shit
Iran
before.
today. That's when people go out for picnics.
We didn't even do
and
that to
for
Nazis.
gatherings in nature, and some families also were there for that reason, were there around the bridge. That's why the many people were killed among civilians.
Worked too.
It's a subject of severe a lot of anger here and condemnation among the high officials in the country. The foreign minister said this type of destruction of civilian facilities is not going to force Iran to surrender or sign a deal that is not in favor of Iran's interest, and that Iran is going to rebuild whatever civilian infrastructure is destroyed. But what can't be rebuilt is America's standing because of what he's doing to the people of Iran. Again, officials here see this as a sign of desperation, that the Americans are running out of military target. They don't know
hate that we're going along with
the military facilities. They don't know where they are to hit at them. And now they are punishing the people of Iran. 90 million Iranians are suffering because of these
We're going
things.
to pay
We
for
also
that.
should mention the power outages and all other institutions that have been destroyed or targeted during the last few days.
Like, we're definitely
going
to pay for this in the future.
That is increasing in the country. As they say, this is because the Americans are now turning into veering towards a new approach towards this war, and it is a punishment of the people of Iran.
Okay, I want to bring in Victoria Gatenby, who's standing by for us in Doha. And Victoria, the IRGC is talking about targeting IT centres as well as bridges in a number of Gulf countries as retaliation. Can you just run us through exactly what they're saying?
Yeah, that's right. So Iranian media reporting that the IRGC plan to expand and extend their attacks both on infrastructure and American IT companies. Now, in terms of infrastructure, Iranian media have published a list in the last 24 hours of what it says is 10 strategic bridges that are now, it says, prime targets because of that bridge that was blown up in Iran. Those include the Sheikh Jabba Causeway, one of the world's longest causeways in Kuwait City.
We can't do this.
Causeway, which links Bahrain and Saudi Arabia across the Gulf, and also Sheikh Zayed Bridge, which links the island of Abu Dhabi to
Trump's going to go down as a butcher.
So really strategically important bridges across this region that the Iranians now say are legitimate targets because of what happened on Thursday in Iran. Now, in terms of American IT companies that are based here in the GCC, it says
seems like
be extending its
the executive branch turns everybody into a butcher.
Reports, though, about how successful some of the attacks that the IRGC claim to have made have actually been. It has said that it targeted on Thursday an Oracle data center in Dubai.
Like,
now,
we are
that
not
has been flatly denied by Dubai's media office, which says
we're not a martial people like
fabricated
that.
and false. But the
We're not
IRGC
into
have
war.
also said that they targeted a Amazon cloud facility in Bahrain. Now, there was, according to Bahrain's Interior Ministry,
I don't like
a
this stuff
missile
being
attack
carried out in
on
my
an
name.
Amazon facility on
or in
Wednesday.
the name of
that
my
caused
people.
a fire, which the civilian authorities, the firefighters, did manage to contain. So it does seem like that.
Yeah, well, I went
The
along with
IRGC
Trump. I
saying that
voted
they
for
will
him.
escalate these types of
But I
attacks
didn't vote
and
for
target
this.
other companies. In the past, it has said it will target companies like Microsoft and Apple.
Okay, I want to bring Mohammed Val back in Tehran. It wasn't just the bridge. There were also strikes on vaccine centres. The steel factories were closed. And,
nobody
and I believe
wants
there was
this
also a blackout. Can you just run us through how much damage is actually being done to the state's ability to continue to function?
I think I pretty much agree with you.
That's right. Power blackout happened for the third time around Tehran because of the strikes that targeted
I've said it before. If we could just get rid of all the politicians and replace them with a fresh batch, it would be a step
factory have
in the
been
right direction.
reportedly struck also today. But the most outstanding one among these is the Pasteur medical factory that produces vaccines for diseases, including COVID vaccine and others. It's been around for 100 years, and it has been crucial and beneficial for the public here in Iran, for the civilians, for the health of the people. And that's why the Iranians are very angry, particularly among the leaders. They condemned this. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs condemned it as an act of desperation again by the Americans. Now they are targeting civilian facilities instead of military.
This is ruining our
they
reputation.
don't know where to strike, and they don't care if the people here suffer because of that. But at the same time, they say that this is not going to dent the resolve of the Iranians and their capability to defend the country. And most of all, above all, it's not going to force them to go and sign a deal that is detrimental to the interest of the
term
country
limits would be awesome.
here in Iran. They are looking forward to more self-defense, and they are launching missiles again at Israel, targets in Israel and across the Middle East. And that's the approach they are opting for here. No trust in the negotiations and no signs, as they say, of goodwill on the part of the Americans and the Israelis regarding a fair deal that is going to preserve the dignity and the sovereignty of Iran.
Okay, Victoria, Gulf countries obviously want to see an end to
term limits would be a godsend. That would be
what three demands did they actually
like a silver bullet almost
today to try and put a stop to this?
Well, the first was essentially that they want all these attacks to stop, and they want the UN Security Council to take all measures possible to ensure that that happens. Having said that, this region is under attack. Tom, tonight we've heard in the last few hours that Saudi has been intercepting drone attacks. Kuwait's army says its air defences have been intercepting missiles and drones. And in the last hour, Bahrain's warning sirens have been sounding again. But having said that, this is what the GCC countries have.
You know, I never have really looked up what is the difference between Shia Islam and Sunni Islam. I did earlier. You know, there's a reason why I was saying these people are just like us. When I looked into it, it hit me like, holy shit, these people are no different than we are. They are no more religious zealots than we are. Like, this is just not good. Sunni Islam, well, Shia Islam, because I've heard of the Mahdi, M-A-H-D-I, and Nick brought this up last night, and the English dealt with a Mahdi. There's a movie called Khartoum with Charlton Heston and Laurence Olivier. Laurence Olivier plays a black or a Sudanese Mahdi. Yeah, that's true, Flip. Well, they believe in a messianic, a Messiah coming, and he's the expected one, the Mahdi. And they believe in divine imams. They believe in a divine leadership. They have the people that run their church or run their mosque. They consider them divine, and they're waiting for a Messiah. Whereas Sunni is literally, they elect caliphs. They elect their religious leaders. Sunni. That's the difference between Shia and Sunni. Sunni don't believe in a Messiah coming. They believe in living their life according to the Quran. Yeah, pretty much. I think you're right, Mackenzie. Yeah, they pretty much, yeah, exactly, Acadian. But they do believe there's like a divine, or like the people that are in control, they are blessed in a sense, I guess, somehow. But the fact that the Sunnis they elect their religious leaders, that's like, that's no different than us, if not better. We don't elect bishops. Really, the church was just used. Well, it's a way of it's a doctrinal thing. There was a schism after the after Nick just said, oh, he's not doing a show tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, there was a schism after Muhammad died. And then, I guess one side believed that there would be somebody coming to replace him. And they had a Mahdi in the mid 1800s. Like I was saying, the Sunni or the Mahdi, the Sudanese. That's why the British lost Khartoum in the 1800s. Well, at least their overlords, their elite, they have an elite just like we do. At least theirs are out in the open as imams and shit. Like in the West, our elite, they built their structure in Christianity. That's what the priesthood is. That's what the the Roman Catholic Church is, the Vatican. That's literally, yeah, the Pope is elected. And maybe they do elect him that way, but I mean, we don't elect the Pope. I don't get a vote. They're elected, but I mean, from what I saw, I thought that you might be right. Maybe it has nothing to do with uh people. Maybe it's clerics that elect the imam. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Goldie, is that the Catholic Church, yeah, no Nick stream tonight or tomorrow, yeah. Yeah, he just sent out that message. Yeah, I mean, the Vatican is just our overlords. It was just a way to extract taxes from their people. Like that's what they turned the Christian church into. And really hundreds of years ago when there were noblemen and stuff, they either just did the nobleman life or they went into the church, and they had archbishops where they were a nobleman and a bishop, where they're just like ridiculously rich and they're a man of the church. How is that? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, really. Yeah, exactly. Or maybe even disagreement like the Christian schism that happened and the church was, cleaved in two. It became the Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church. Maybe I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. And then the fact that these guys are voted on, like noblesse oblige. Yeah, like the fact that these guys were voted on, I was led to believe that these people were religious zealots, and I don't see that at all. I do not see that. John Paul II. Oh, I mean, I don't Freemasons. There's a lot of talk of that stuff. I don't really find it all that productive. A lot of people are Freemasons, but those are just men's clubs. And I keep seeing all this shit about that Professor Jang, and it says he's a spy. He's like an active spy. Anybody seen anything about that? Professor Zhang? Wouldn't surprise me if he was a spy, honestly. I mean, everything is globalized to such a degree. We're intermeshed with them anyways. Evangelicals or zealots, yeah, they kind of are. Some of them are. Some of them are more Zionist than Israelis. Yes, that's crazy. Who'd have thought that they would end up being this, a terrible, like they would be a liability. I mean, I never would have expected it. And not only that, they're like working on behalf of another country, like Mike Huckabee. What the fuck, man? You know, like a white Christian, church-going Christian, that'd be the last person. What's up, question? That would be the I he was the last person I would expect to turn his back on us. You know what I mean? That kind of it's like every time we turn around, some politician is turning their back on us, turning their back on their people. You know, they really seem to be like any chance they get to turn or to do us dirty, to take advantage. And no matter how obvious it is that they don't care what we have to say, what we think. Trump, Huckabee, like they don't seem to care about us at all. I mean, what do you guys think? Have you these people seem to be the enemies of us, our enemies. Is that how his name is spelled? Like Xin? I thought it was Jang. Although I know that they're, those are characters, or at least they use characters. They don't use words and letters. Yeah, pontificate about Israel. Ugh. No, they don't. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, yeah, that because I had it pulled up. I had done it by AI. Yeah, leadership after Prophet Muhammad should be passed to his family, starting with Ali, cousin slash son-in-law. Cousin and son-in-law? That's weird. And infallible imams, uh, especially 12ers or ESP 12ers. Sunni is by majority leadership elected by the community. So that's like, they elect their leaders. That's incredible. I never would have guessed that. Never. Never would have guessed that they elected their leaders. Yeah, it's a good point, Acadian. Yeah, I mean, I've always, had a spiritual. I mean, it does help. It makes I do feel like I'm more at peace with the world. I don't get all freaked out or upset. Like, you can only control. There's so little that we have control of, and getting all upset and bent out of shape over stuff that I have no control over. It's like it just doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to spend my short life worrying about the stuff that I have no control over whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good on that shit. Yeah, they are playing it out. I mean, it's starting to everybody sees the script. They see the strings now that it's all just it's a marionette show, a kabuki theater. I mean, that's the perfect it is kabuki theater. And Trump, he's totally found himself on the outside. Like he's all bent out of shape, all pissed off because he sees the end. That is cool how the Islam. I always thought I had no idea that. Yeah, forget those losers for sure. Arabs are tribal. Arab Christians and Arab Muslims will fight other Muslims together that are on the same. Well, that's not all that complicated though, Acadian. I would like you say Arab Christians and Muslims fight together. Yeah, they may be brothers. Like, you say Arab Muslims and Arab Christians, yeah, they're all intermarried and like a part of their each other's families. I would side with my family regardless of what religion they had. They're still my family. That's still above my religion. I mean, to me, it would be. The Federal Reserve has been around since what, the Civil War? I think the Federal Reserve is like I was saying a couple like this last week that we used to have the guild system, where at a carpenter's guild, a blacksmithing guild, and it was before the way I see that too is our elites saw money on like any time you see a change in society or in culture, like with the adding of the Federal Reserve, that is the elite consolidating their power. That's all it is. That's them realizing, oh, there's a better way to do this. So they, like the guild system, that was the best way they knew how until they started the Federal Reserve System. And it's just how much do they profit off of everything? The Federal Reserve is just it's a institution for the extraction of wealth. They skim the cream off. They take a cut of everybody's income. And that's why they instituted it. Hey, we can tax these people and extract wealth, and we can do it every year. I mean, it's just a new way for the elites to take from us. And that's what happens when they have these periods of consolidation after wars. And after this war, there will be another consolidation. There's going to be a reordering of the world order. And power is like really fluid right now. It's almost like a puddle of water on a tabletop or something, and it's just they're kind of moving the puddle of water is flowing back and forth. We don't know where it's going to land yet. The elites used to fight on the front line because they were regular people. The elites, these are regular people. Maybe they're smarter than ever or other people, maybe not. But they're just a part of the group that either organized or they inherited their position. So yeah, there definitely was a period where they used to fight on the front lines, but they only do that at the beginning. Then, after the first generation of elites in a new society, yeah, they'll fight on the front. But once they win that first revolution or whatever, then they sit back as just mandarins. Even queens fought. Where do they do that at? Where did they do that at? You talking about Joan of Arc? Well, I mean, that's how it looks. I pray it doesn't, but that's how it looks. Like that would be the worst thing. They call it technofeudalism. Ugh. Where it's, I mean, you can see they're laying the groundwork now with all these subscription services where everything is monetized. And there is like they're trying to make it so that nobody goes hiking anymore. Goes and does stuff just out in nature and enjoys that part of life. They're commodifying everything. They've even commodified public discourse, like with social media. They figured out a way to make money off of people talking. And really, that's kind of what the internet has turned out to be. It's just turned out to be another way of another bit of wealth extracting. Amazon warriors. Ha! True. In yeah, it is pretty cool mythology. Has a purpose too. There's some bad bitches. They were. I wonder why they named them Amazons and why the Amazon forest is named that. There must be like a connection between the two. And I remember when I was younger, I used to think like that the Amazon tribe of women. I used to think they lived in the Amazon when I was small. Bigfoot. Watch out for Bigfoot. You guys think Bigfoot's real? Who's Frojax? Mongol women used to fight. Really? I don't know. I those bows that they used are pretty hard to pull back. Those recurve bows. I don't think a woman can strike those bows. Maybe I don't know. I may be wrong, but they're difficult. I mean, like even in the Odyssey, that was a challenge, and even the men couldn't string his bow. You know, she had all those suitors. Penelope, she had all those suitors in her house, and none of them could string Odysseus's bow. Hmm. That's funny. Yeah, he's the first one to use the TTS again tonight. The tip of the spear right now. Or Jacks. I've never heard of them. Oh, that's right. I think I left. Did I turn that off? I think so. Let me check right quick. I turned it off. Huh. They are enabled. It's weird. Let's see here. Should be working. Of course, it sends two. I forgot that it does that. Ah, I did have it shut off. Huh, figures. Sorry. Yeah, it's on now. You think that they scare people from? I mean, I don't think they scare people from going into nature. I think they just make people enjoy sitting alone at home all night. You know, I think that's what they do. They don't scare people from doing that stuff. They just make them fat and lazy. Yeah, I think you're actually it is a lot like medieval times. Mickey. Anybody ever called you Mickey before? Mackenzie. Yeah, it is kind of like medieval times. Like I was saying, the feudal system, that's the idea of this techno-feudalism where we're all on this virtual plantation where everything, you know, instead of being ruled by a lord or a lady that ran a plantation, it's going to be to tech oligarchs. That's what the techno-feudalism is. It's tech oligarchs. And it's kind of, you can see what people are talking about. I could see how this could turn into exactly what they're saying. I don't even know who Frojax is. I mean, I definitely feel like it wouldn't be that difficult for what we have now to feel like oppression or tyranny. Like they wouldn't have to do much. They already have the tools, I'm pretty sure, all this technology and stuff. It would be easy for them to.
A case for nationalism. All right, hear me out. Why am I?
Yeah, I never heard of these Frojacks. Or maybe I have. I think I have seen these guys before. Where they talk to like I've seen the ones
Hello,
when they talk to
everyone.
black
This is
people, I think.
Jackson.
I think so. It's funny, and now everybody does these AI thumbnails, like hardcore. I guess that's a pretty new channel, huh? It looks new. Most people call you Kenzie, huh? That's cool. My grandmother went by Mickey. My grandfather, Mick, he would always say, Mick. Which, I mean, she was redhead. Now, her name was Marilyn. I guess that's a nickname for Marilyn. I never heard anybody else do that, but makes sense. It's a plan to build bases. Well, going to the moon, like we went there, but we didn't. There's still plenty of reason to go back. Yeah. Hmm. Going around what? Talking about like the Hormuz Strait or some shit. Going around. You said they're going around something. I know. I was just saying my grandmother was a redhead. Well, I mean, you have a Mackenzie. That's a very Scottish name for sure. Absolutely, that's a Scottish name. And what do you guys think about that? All that shit oh, the moon. Yeah, they're just going around the backside, from what I understand. How about that Drewski shit? I've just seen the Erica Kirk stuff. Oh man, it is. It's creepy, to be honest. That that video that guy Drewski made of, it's very creepy. I don't like seeing a black man put into a suit and dressed up like a white woman. I remember with the White Girls movie with the Wayans brothers. That was so creepy to me. I don't know what it was, so creepy. Just freaked me out. And that Drewski stuff freaked me out too. That had him made up. Oh, Red Girl. She's still in here. That's funny. Huh. Every time she speaks up, it's just it's just a woman doing her fingernails and her giggling. Chuck Norris's grandmother was a redhead. Is that why you're Chuck Norris? He was a redhead. Yeah, well, I never really seen that. I've seen the guy Drewski, but I've never paid attention to his stuff, and I just saw that. I didn't know that that was a guy under makeup. I was like, wow, that's a really weird looking. It's like, what the fuck? And it was creepy. And then I was like, oh, I see. And it's funny. I mean, he's a funny guy, it seems like. Red Girl. She's always in here. Nightbot jumped on her. That's funny. She don't hardly ever say shit though. That's the thing. She don't ever say nothing. She just hangs out. That's fine. It's funny how some people are just lurkers. They don't. they don't have anything to say, I guess. Which is fine, of course. Problem with that. A lot of times, sometimes I don't have shit to say either. Although that's rare. It's very rare. Nightbot is a bit of a bully. Yeah, she is a big time. She's a lurker. Big time. Yeah, Nightbot is a bit of a bully. It's like as soon as somebody comes in that's new, they get hit like 3 or 4 times. Bop, 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 bop. And I have to jump in and break it up. Like, whoa, leave her alone, Nightbot. Chill out, man. I mean, I think the lurking is pretty cool. I don't see it as a big deal. I mean, it's a part of the internet. It's a big part of the internet, lurking. And we all do it. Everybody does, where you pop into a channel and you just kind of peruse, you know. Megan Kelly says vote Republican no matter what, and she got ratioed by Nick. That's awesome. It's crazy. Ooh, damn. Stephen A. Smith interviewed John Kennedy, Senator Kennedy.
Senator Cruz and I came
Heck,
up with a
I
plan.
respect
It's
Kennedy.
a two-step process.
Yeah, we are
The
all
Democrats have offered to open up everything
who
but
hates
ICE.
redheads?
Ted and I said, okay, let's accept their offer. And then at the same time, we
What are you
would offer
talking about?
a bill for reconciliation where we don't need any
You lie.
Democratic votes to do whatever we wanted to do with ICE. And that way we're out of the shutdown
I
and
do
DHS
not.
is back open.
Do not hate
We
redheads.
submitted that. Senator
I like
Thune submitted
redheads.
that to
Always
President
have.
Trump, as is his right. He said no.
I kind of like
No
John
deals with the
Kennedy. He's
Democrats.
been on a lot of shows
That
that
man you just heard right there
most
is my next
people,
guest. He has served.
he's a Republican, but he used to be a Democrat. Yeah, don't think for no, it is exactly. It is like don't think for yourself. And you know something? I'm not a part of that team, and they don't consider me a part of that team either. And I'm not going like fuck. Oh, okay, yeah. Nightbot doesn't like redheads. True. Seems like he doesn't. Yeah, I kind of I when I first started streaming, I didn't really understand the way streaming works, but a lot of it is yeah, same here, Goldie. A lot of streaming is people just want to kind of hang out. They don't really want like and I agree. I'm the same way, but it's like not until I was in the opposite seat more or less, and you have to kind of think about things like that. And I kind of like the streaming and kind of making it a hangout. Like I like being on either side of it. But it's like you can't if there's too much going on, people don't really want to do that. Like I know a lot of people they watch Tim Pool's show and that's kind of just on in the background. And yeah, they are feisty. You just kind of lock in when you hear something that catches your attention, right? And it's stuff that you can focus on something else, and then when you need a break, you can focus on this. Like I get why streaming blew up the way it did. I mean, I think it's awesome. Yeah, he is from Louisiana. That's kind of why I like him too. He went to Oxford. That dude is a smart motherfucker. That guy is smart. That guy went to Oxford, man. He's a lawyer. I mean, that's all I mean, the fact that he went to Oxford, you don't just as an American, you don't just go to Oxford on a lark. You gotta like be good at school, be ambitious, good at it. And I have a lot of people that are good at school. I wish I was good at school. I'm not, but hmm, yeah. Yeah, that is a nice thing about TV is what what's crazy is it wasn't always 24 hours. Like I remember my dad telling me how that shit would shut off at midnight. It would play the national anthem and then it would disappear, it would go up that screen and that would be it. Yeah, Clinton did go to Oxford. Clinton was a Rhodes Scholar, which is what Buttigieg was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, Buttigieg is a Rhodes Scholar. I mean, you got to be pretty sharp to do that. Although, being good at school, mm, that's not that's not it. That's not all of it. It requires more than being good at school to be a great leader. It requires a lot more. You kind of have to have the instincts and stuff. You can't learn how to be a great leader from a book. I would say great leaders are made, not or they're born, not made. Yeah, Pete was a Rhodes Scholar, absolutely. Pete Buttigieg. He's not stupid. He's just not very relatable. Really, that's pretty much what it is. He's not very relatable. He's very much so kind of has the whole ivory tower thing going on. Like I doubt the guy has ever done more work than lifting a pen or a pencil in his life. Or no, he was in the military too. Yeah, so maybe he has. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Shit. Damn. I think I want to. We can watch this. It's like a 20-minute video on Iran. It looks pretty good actually. 5,000 years of history. It looks actually pretty interesting. Pop it on and see what's up.
And Arabs, Iran has preserved its language, poetry, and unbreakable identity. This is the 5,000 years history of Iran.
Yeah, most rap is crap.
Before the word
there
Iran
there
existed,
is some good
the
rap.
Iranian plateau
for
was
sure.
already home to some of the earliest human communities in the world.
Yeah, we
By
did.
around 3000
Were you saying
BC,
Jinx because I said he was a Rhodes Scholar? Right when you
in
did.
southwestern Iran, centered
Right when
around
it
the
popped
city
up.
of Susa. Unlike many later empires, Elam was not founded by a single conqueror or ruler arriving from elsewhere. Instead, it developed gradually from the local populations already living in the region, who over
NWA,
centuries
Easy
organized
E.
themselves into complex city-states and kingdoms. The Elamites created their own writing systems, built large temples and monumental structures, and became active participants in trade and conflict with neighboring Mesopotamian powers such as the Sumer and Babylon. For nearly 2,000 years, Elam remained one of the major powers of the ancient world. But by the 6th century BC, after repeated Assyrian invasions and the sack of Susa around 646 BC, the Elamite power finally collapsed. Its fall cleared the stage for the rise of the Achaemenid Empire. The true transformation of Iran began in the first millennium BC, when Indo-Iranian tribes from the Central Asian steppes migrated into the Iranian plateau. Over time, these migrating peoples settled across the plateau and gradually formed new societies. Among them were two groups that would shape the future of the region, the Medes and the Persians. The Medes were the first to establish a large Iranian kingdom in the 7th century BC, known as the Median Kingdom, uniting various tribes under a centralized authority.
Cooler than a
But it
polar
was their
bear's
southern
nails.
neighbors,
Oh
the
hell!
Persians, who created one of the greatest empires the world had ever seen.
I didn't
In
realize it, but
550 BC,
Iran is made up of so many ethnicities. It's made up of Persians, Kurds, Armenians, a bunch of different people. I had no idea. I didn't realize Armenians were so scattered in the Middle East. It's wild.
a man named Cyrus the
Apparently
Great
they're white
changed
too,
the
because
history
Anna
of the region.
Kasparian, she's pretty much
Cyrus
white.
came from the Persian kingdom of Anshan, located in what is now Fars province in southwestern Iran. He defeated the Median king Astyages and united the Iranian tribes under his leadership. But Cyrus did not stop there. Within a few decades, his armies conquered the kingdom of Lydia in Anatolia, captured Babylon, and expanded Persian power eastward towards Central Asia. What made Cyrus remarkable was not only the speed of his conquests, but also his method of rule. Unlike many conquerors before him, he allowed local religions, traditions, and customs to continue. When he captured Babylon in 539 BC, he permitted exiled peoples, including the Jews, to return to their homelands and rebuild their temples. These policies were recorded on the famous Cyrus cylinder. It was a clay cylinder describing Cyrus's conquest of Babylon and his policy of restoring temples and returning displaced populations. Because of these ideas of tolerance and restoration, some modern scholars have described the Cyrus cylinder as one of the earliest expressions of human rights in history. Under Cyrus the Great and his successors, especially Darius I, the Achaemenid Empire became the largest empire the world had yet seen. At its peak under Darius I, it covered approximately 5.5 million square kilometers. The Persians built an advanced administrative system. They constructed long-distance roads, including the famous Royal Road, standardized taxation,
That's funny. I used to love the
their vast lands into
Kardashians.
provinces called satrapies. Their imperial capital at Persepolis became a symbol of imperial power, where ambassadors from Egypt, Greece, and India came to present tribute. For nearly 2 centuries, this empire stood at the center of the known world.
They do.
Then
They
came
still
its
sit
downfall. In 330 BC, the young Macedonian conqueror Alexander the Great invaded Persia. Within just 8 years, the Achaemenid Empire collapsed. Persepolis was burned, and Alexander proclaimed himself the new ruler of Persia. After Alexander's death in
Persia and
323
Persepolis.
BC, his vast empire fragmented among his generals in a series of conflicts known as the Wars of the Diadochi. Control of Persia eventually fell to the Seleucid Empire, founded by Seleucus I Nicator. For nearly a century, the Seleucids ruled much of Iran. Greek cities were founded, Greek language and culture spread, and the region became part of a vast Hellenistic world, stretching from the Mediterranean
seeing the Middle
to
East
Central.
from that angle, it just occurred to me that literally Greece is up here and Alexander, all he conquered was Persia, Iran. And look how close it, I don't know why, but I never really think of it being that close to Arabia, like, and how close Greece is to Arabia. Like it's practically the same. It is the same region, you know, and the difference between them as people is almost negligible.
Asia. Yet this foreign rule remained fragile. The Seleucid kings struggled to control their distant eastern territories.
Yeah, Turkey,
and
that's
local
right
Iranian
there.
traditions and identities
Right in between 'em.
persisted beneath the surface. By the mid-3rd century BC, a new Iranian power began to rise in the northeast, which would eventually establish the Parthian Empire.
My dad's boss is Persian. I went to
The
school with one
Parthians
of his
were
kids.
originally nomadic Iranian people called the Parni from Central Asia. They settled in the region of Parthia in northeastern Iran and gradually expanded their control. Their rise began around 247 BC, when Arsaces I established an independent kingdom by taking advantage of the Seleucid Empire's weakening grip on its eastern territories. They called themselves the Arsacid dynasty, and over the next century they expanded to control the entire
What was
Iranian
Trump
plateau
thinking?
and Mesopotamia. The Parthian Empire became Rome's eastern rival for centuries. They halted Roman expansion and maintained control over key trade routes, including segments of what would later be called the Silk Road. Parthian rule was decentralized, relying on noble families and regional autonomy. It preserved Iranian traditions while absorbing influences from both east and west. Then, in 224 AD, another transformation occurred. A Persian noble named Ardashir overthrew the last Parthian ruler Artabanus IV and founded the Sasanian Empire. Under the Sasanians, Iran once again became a highly centralized and powerful state. Zoroastrianism was established as the official religion.
Isn't that
Persian
crazy?
art, architecture, and scholarship flourished.
Zoroastrian.
The Sasanians fought long and exhausting wars against the Roman and later Byzantine empires. The Sasanian-Roman wars lasted for over 400 years. The final and most devastating war was from 602 to 628 AD, which drained the economic and manpower of both the empires. It was at this moment that a new force emerged from Arabia. Beginning in the 630s, Muslim Arab armies
Real
advanced into
Housewives.
Sasanian territories. In the decisive battles of Qadisiyah and Nahawand, the Persian army was defeated. The last Sasanian king, Yazdegerd III, fled east and was executed in 651 AD, marking the end of the empire. With the fall of the empire, Iran gradually became part of the expanding Islamic world. Islam slowly spread across the region, transforming its religious landscape. Yet even under Arab rule, Persian culture endured. The Persian language was revived in a new form, written in Arabic script, and Iranian scholars,
It's kind of
poets,
crazy
and
how much
scientists played a central role in what
stream
historians
has
call the
changed
Islamic
since I
Golden
started
Age.
it.
Over the following
How much
centuries,
I have.
various dynasties ruled Iran, the most important of which was the Seljuks. The Seljuks
Good
were
one,
a Turkic
Goldie.
dynasty from the Central Asian
Truly.
steppes who converted to
They
Islam.
don't watch it anymore. at
They
least.
rose to power in the 11th century by
Log.
serving as military commanders for the Abbasid Caliphate, whose political authority had weakened over time. Eventually, the Seljuk leaders assumed real
Seljuk.
power themselves, establishing the Seljuk Empire.
I always
Under
wondered
the Seljuks,
how you said that. Seljuk. I thought it was like Seljuk, and the Mamluks. It's interesting. Bitch, what mess?
much of the Iranian world experienced renewed political stability
Oh.
after centuries of fragmentation. Although the ruling elite were Turkic, they adopted many aspects of Persian culture
You guys
and
sound like you're
governance.
my age.
Persian became the language of administration, literature, and scholarship
Millenniums.
across their
Millennials.
empire. However, this stability did not last forever. In the early 13th century, the Mongols emerged from the east. Beginning in the 1220s, Mongol forces swept across Central Asia and into Iran with devastating speed, destroying entire cities and causing massive loss of life. Yet even this catastrophe did not permanently break Iran's cultural continuity. By the mid-13th century, Hulagu Khan established a new ruling state in the region
Right,
known as the
their
Ilkhanate.
cultural continuity started back before Christ. And somehow Trump thinks he's going to end it.
Over time, the Mongol rulers gradually adopted the traditions of the lands they governed. Many converted to Islam, embraced Persian administrative systems, and supported Persian scholars and artists. The first Ilkhanid ruler to accept Islam was Tekuda, but the
That
real
nice
turning
rack.
point came in 1295 when Ghazan Khan converted and declared Islam the official religion of the Ilkhanate. From that point onward, the Mongol rulers of Iran increasingly adopted Islam and Persian culture. However, the Ilkhanate itself did not last forever. After the death of Abu Sa'id Bahadur Khan
There's
in
not a whole lot of meat on the
1335,
bone on
the
that. in those
Ilkhanate
shows.
began to collapse. Without a strong successor, rival Mongol commanders and local dynasties fought for control of the region. As a result, Iran once again fragmented into several smaller states ruled by competing powers
Yeah, me
such as
too.
the Jalayirids, the Muzaffarids, and other regional dynasties. For several decades, no single
I
authority
could
was able
imbibe
to
nothing but
reunite the
history.
Iranian
Be
plateau.
perfectly happy.
This period of political fragmentation continued until the late 14th century, when a new conqueror rose from Central Asia. Timur first rose to power as a skilled military commander during the political chaos that followed the breakup of the Mongol Chagatai Khanate. Through a combination of alliances and relentless military campaigns, he gradually defeated rival tribal leaders and eventually established the Timurid Empire. Although his campaigns were often devastating and many Iranian cities suffered greatly during his invasions, the Timurid period later became a remarkable era of cultural revival. Timur and his successors patronized Persian scholars, architects, and artists. Cities such as Samarkand and Herat flourished as major
Samarkand.
centers of
That's so
Persian
cool.
literature, architecture, and science. However, the Timurid
Man.
Empire gradually weakened.
What I wouldn't do, like to go to Samarkand. You know, what an exotic destination. Man, I wish I could go tour that part of the world. That would be lovely.
During the 15th century as rival factions fought for power. Iran once again fragmented into smaller states ruled by competing dynasties and tribal confederations. Political instability spread across the region, creating conditions ripe for the rise of a new power. Then, in 1501, a turning point reshaped Iran's identity permanently.
Sounds like me.
A young leader named
Chain
Ismail
smoking and not
I
opening
founded
books.
the Safavid Empire.
Doing lectures.
After establishment of the Safavid Empire, Ismail I declared Twelver Shia Islam the official religion of the state. This decision distinguished Iran sharply from its largely Sunni neighbors, especially the powerful Ottoman Empire. Even as Iranians adopted this new religious framework, they fiercely preserved their ancient cultural heritage. This dual identity, Persian in culture and Shia in religion,
You were one of the popular
would become
kids,
a
huh?
defining feature of Iran. Under the Safavids, particularly during the reign of
Doing
Shah
your nails
Abbas
in
I,
class.
Iran entered a period of cultural and economic revival. The capital city of Isfahan was transformed into one of the most magnificent cities of the early modern world, famous for its grand mosques and impressive public squares.
You know, there's something to be
Trade
said about
flourished.
the Islamic architecture, Islamic art. Art. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. These the pictures on the screen there, these mosques, they absolutely look like that. You see the Taj Mahal, gorgeous, beautiful. You see their mosaics, similar to the Greek, you know how they have all the really ornate. No, there's no Nick. He's not doing one tonight or tomorrow night. Won't be back till Monday. But the ornateness, and you know, they have their own arches. They call them Islamic arches, where they have this peak. That's a specifically an Islamic architecture, because all the Mediterranean uses arches for support, but they use different shapes. Like the English have their own like the medieval. There's a bunch of different style arches.
Art and architecture reached new heights, and the Safavid state firmly established the foundations of modern Iranian identity.
All I had to do was let it
However,
keep playing.
by the early 18th century, Safavid power began to decline due to internal corruption, economic difficulties, and external pressures. This decline eventually led to invasions and political chaos. For a brief moment, the military genius Nader Shah restored Iranian power in the mid-18th century, even launching a famous campaign into India and capturing the wealth of Delhi. But his empire collapsed soon after his death. In the late 18th century, the Qajar dynasty rose to power and established a new monarchy in Iran. By this time, however, powerful European empires were expanding their influence across Asia. The Russian Empire began pushing southward, seizing territories in the Caucasus.
I didn't
while the United
realize that
Kingdom
Russia
sought
had
to
borders
dominate
with
southern Iran to
Iran
protect
until
its
this
colonial
conflict.
interests in India. Although Iran was never formally colonized, it increasingly found itself trapped between these competing
Yeah, they'd
powers.
never been colonized.
Foreign concessions, political pressure, and economic exploitation weakened the state. By the early 20th century, the discovery of oil further intensified foreign interference, which led to the public uprising. The revolution of 1906, known as the Persian Constitutional Revolution, was ignited by the foreign interference. The people forced the Shah to grant a constitution and create a national parliament. For the first time in Iran's long history, people hoped for a government limited by law rather than absolute monarchy, but it didn't happen. The rival empires of United Kingdom and Russian Empire feared a strong independent Iran. With their backing, the Shah crushed the movement and plunged the country back into instability.
You mean,
this instability continued until 1925, when a former military officer, Reza Shah, seized power and established the Pahlavi dynasty. Reza Shah was determined to transform Iran into a modern state.
Shit.
He built
I
railways.
want to hear this part, sorry.
The revolution of 1906, known as the Persian Constitutional Revolution, was ignited by the foreign interference. The people forced the Shah to grant a constitution and create a national parliament. For the first time in Iran's long history, people hoped for a government limited by law rather than absolute monarchy, but it didn't happen. the rival empires of United Kingdom and Russian Empire feared a strong
Oh,
independent Iran.
Hellas. I knew it was
With
something
their
like
backing,
that.
the Shah crushed
It's
the movement and plunged the
Hellenistic.
country back into instability.
That's
This
Greek.
instability continued till 1925, when a former military officer, Reza Shah, seized power and established the Pahlavi dynasty. Reza Shah was determined to transform Iran into a modern
He was just a
stat.
military
He built
officer.
railways, strengthened the army, opened modern schools and universities. In 1935, he officially named the country Iran, meaning Land of the Aryans. This
Wow.
continued until World War
Land
II.
of the Aryans.
During World War II, Reza
What?
Shah tried to balance foreign powers but showed sympathy toward Nazi Germany, hoping it might counter British and Soviet influence. That decision backfired. In
Oh
1941,
wow, they
Allied
made an
forces from
alliance with the Nazis because they were tired of getting beat up on by the Russians and the British. Wow. And they made their country, they renamed themselves the Land of the Aryans. Yeah, Spain is interesting too, especially like if you read about El Cid. El Cid is really good. The movie with Charlton Heston too. They had some of the best steel ever made. It's called Castilian steel. It's what their swords were made out of. Some of the best swords ever made. I mean, any of you guys ever seen the Highlander with um what's his name? Sean Connery? He uses a Castilian sword in that movie. He's a Spaniard, I think, but it's really good stuff. Like that's how Cortez defeated the Aztecs.
United Kingdom and the Soviet
Castilian
Union
steel.
invaded Iran, forced Reza Shah to abdicate, and placed his young son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, on the throne. The new Shah initially ruled under heavy political pressure, and in 1951, a charismatic nationalist leader, Mohammad Mossadegh, became prime minister and took drastic steps. He nationalized Iran's oil industry,
That's where he
taking
fucked
control
up.
from the British-owned Anglo-Iranian Oil Company.
Anglo-Iranian.
Britain responded with economic sanctions and a global oil boycott. When Mossadegh refused to back down, Britain secretly turned to the Central Intelligence Agency. In 1953,
And how they word this stuff is very slick. They just tell you an Anglo-Iranian company. It was British Persian Petrol. But they make, Highlander was sick, but they don't say BP. They make sure that you don't put two and two together. This is how they keep us asleep. All of a sudden, you start realizing what the hell is going on when you realize British Petroleum was literally like the whole impetus for all of this stuff. So they purposely said Anglo-Iranian Oil Company instead of British Persian. Like that's gotta be, they did that on purpose. That's gotta be premeditated. They know how to do their propaganda well. They know how to keep
CIA and
people
British
asleep.
intelligence launched Operation Ajax, overthrowing Mossadegh and restoring the Shah's authority. After the coup, Mohammad Reza Shah ruled with far greater power. Backed strongly by the United States during the Cold War, he turned Iran into one of Washington's key allies in the Middle East.
One of their puppets.
American military aid flowed into the country, and Iran purchased vast amounts of Western weapons. The Shah created feared secret police, SAVAK, to silence critics. At the same time, he launched the White Revolution, a sweeping program of land reform, industrialization, and social change. While these policies modernized parts of the economy, they also disrupted traditional society, enriched elites, and widened the gap between rich and poor. This created resentment among the population. The resentments were further intensified in 1971 when the Shah spent enormous sums hosting a spectacular celebration at the ruins of Persepolis, marking what he called 2,500 years of Persian monarchy. This gave an opportunity to his critics, among which the most determined one was Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. Ayatollah Khomeini was one of the most vocal critics of the Shah and his policies. Because of his opposition, he was exiled in 1964, first to Iraq and later to France. From exile, he continued to influence events inside Iran, as his speeches were recorded and smuggled back on cassette tapes. He portrayed the Shah as a tyrant dependent on the United States and called for an Islamic system based on justice, independence, and support for the poor. His message gradually gained momentum, and by 1978, protests had turned into a nationwide uprising. Millions of Iranians took to the streets, and the regime's attempts to suppress them only intensified the unrest. On January 16, 1979, Mohammad Reza left the country. Just weeks later, on February 1st, Khomeini returned to Tehran to a massive reception. Within months, the monarchy collapsed, and in April 1979, the Islamic Republic of Iran was established through a national referendum. The revolution marked a major shift in Iran's foreign policy. Under Khomeini, Iran adopted the principle of neither East nor West, rejecting alignment with both the United States and the Soviet Union. Relations with Washington collapsed after the Iran hostage crisis, beginning decades of tension and hostility. Only a year later, Iran was drawn into a devastating war. In 1980, Saddam Hussein invaded Iran, starting the Iran-Iraq War, which lasted 8 years. The conflict caused massive loss of life and economic damage, ending in 1988 without major territorial changes. After Khomeini's death in 1989, leadership passed to Ali Khamenei. Under his rule, Iran maintained a cautious but often confrontational stance toward the West.
know that.
While continuing to oppose US influence in the region, Iran also engaged in selective diplomacy when necessary.
No idea.
One key
that
example was the Iran nuclear deal, aimed at easing sanctions in exchange
this
for
is the
limits on
third
Iran's
Khomeini.
nuclear program. However, tensions remained high, especially after the United States withdrew from the agreement in 2018. By the mid-2020s, relations between Iran and the United States were still strained, marked by periodic crises and limited diplomatic engagement. The two countries engaged in talks in
God,
the
how
end
did
of
Trump fuck this up
2025,
so
but the
bad?
situation
Bastards. What did Hitler think of Zionism? I know what he thought of it. He liked it. They were willing to get the hell out of his country. He was down with it. Anything that would get them to leave on their own, with their own dime. Like, seriously. Look at him, a Teletubby. It's funny. I remember when Teletubbies were still on TV. Shit.
The Tory boy, the
I
Magatar,
like this
the
guy. He's half
GOP
half
loyalists,
Iranian. half
stand in the
Persian.
way. Okay, and this is what this is ultimately about.
Nima
Next week, I'm going to
Parvini.
have a look at Lenin. I'm going to intensify my reading of Lenin because I have actually come across. So I'm familiar with imperialism, but there's another article that I was put onto called Socialism and War that seems highly relevant in the current
What's a
climate with
documentary you're
Iran war
talking
and so
about?
on. And I'm starting to think that the Leninist framework for understanding Western imperialist wars has something to it. It's got something to it. Anyway, that is for next week. Remember the wrestle. Before I get going here, I'll remind you to pick up courses at the academic agency. Mega bundle selling very well. Trivium, of course, the bestseller. I'm not going to share it on the screen. You're going to have to just listen to me. Look at this ugly mug. Some might say not so ugly. I do have some fans, you know. The amount of you talk about my hair, bloody hell. Anyway, let's carry on. Okay, so the rise of the right side, a psychological study by the right to dissent. I'm going to read this, and I will interject when the time comes. And of course, remember the wrestle. The ascendancy of Trumpian populism in America and its inevitable lava-like spread to Europe has birthed a new political animal, the rightoid. The rightoid is the canary in the coal mine of the West's traditional right wing, signaling as he does the death throes of conservatism as a serious political, philosophical, and cultural force. And I should mention that I am devoting some of my own efforts, to almost act as an undertaker for Western conservatism, to call time on and throw out in the trash the likes of Burke and that whole tradition of thought, fake nonsense, basically Fabian conservatism. I want to see that go as well. Anyway, this invites both celebration and lamentation as a new plebeian populism takes over in white countries, a last stand against the inevitable anti-Zionist, I should say, anti-capitalist and anti-American revolution. I'm having to change a few words here and there, for the aforementioned reasons. As a countermeasure, the Judeo-American empire is attempting to turn the mass of right-leaning whites into a human wave of retardation to be thrown at a genuine resistance seeking to transcend the left-right kosher dialectic to forge a new political movement in service of a new political future, a future in which Europeans have at least a fighting chance of survival. A rightoid is defined the political complex of Judeo-American capitalism can help us truly to understand the phenomenon. The defining characteristic of the rightoid is that he operates entirely within the current political, social, and economic paradigm, an agent of counter-revolution and counter-transcendence. You might include in this such luminaries as Styx, Hexenhammer, Razor Fist, Cernovich, who else? Jack Posobiec. I mean, there are so many of these. Scott Greer, Captive Dreamer. There are so many of these individuals. You can, every single Tory boy.
I have to agree with you there. They're Christian. They're European. I mean, they're white people. They're the same as us. It kind of blows my mind how they are made into the boogeyman.
There's so many of them. Okay, let's carry on. An agent of counter-revolution and counter-transcendence.
Already.
The rightoid is wholly ensconced on the plantation of kosher party politics, harrying Gladeve, Easter gammon worshipper, the entire writing staff of the Pimlico Journal and of Jacobs. Right versus left, Democrat versus Republican. All political machinations are viewed through the prism of the contemporary political zeitgeist, and the terminus of every political issue is ultimately to vote.
I see what this is.
Republican, populist right, and support of Israel. Such is the telos of the rightoid that no matter how much he protests otherwise, the rightoid is the agent Smith of the Matrix, except less sentient. And you will recall that I had an article earlier in the year called Escaping the Slop Right Matrix and Activating Agent Smith. Those are two articles by me. But this article, I should mention, predates that. I hadn't read it at that time, but he's picking up on the same sort of stuff that I was there. This level of conformity to a system so clearly aligned against his racial and economic interests requires a significant lack of cognitive dissonance.
What is
Hence, the rightoid can shapeshift effortlessly between oppressed dissident and empowered Caesar without any disequilibrium. The political system is rigged against us, except when Donald Trump wins, at which point we can bask in our entirely unrigged victory. He's talking about most of you. We're oppressed freedom fighters under the boot heel of the globalists, except when Donald Trump pulls out a chair for Benjamin Netanyahu, demonstrating our dominance in the 5D political chess game. The rightoid psychological tenor bears the emotional volatility of a hormonal woman. That's why I love this article. It's so accurate and yet scathing at the same time. And if anything, it doesn't even go hard enough. You deserve even harder kicking than this. The political temperament of the rightoid is reactionary. Image and emotion predominate over system and theory. The political victories quench his thirst for abstract feelings of victory rather than concrete gain. I'll just repeat that. Abstract feelings of victory rather than concrete gain, vibes-based politics, in other words. The truth of mass deportations of millions of illegal immigrants is secondary to the feeling associated with such things invoked by a kaleidoscope of images and memes coalescing in the mind's eye as a lived reality. To feel as though,
I mean, it's all oligarchs. Like, there isn't a country on the planet that isn't run by an oligarch. There isn't one. Even monarchies are oligarchs, democracies are oligarchs. Anna Kournikova. Isn't she a tennis player? Yeah, Russian ballet is pretty legit.
one is
It's
winning
hard.
is enough to satiate
Beautiful.
the hunger for victory, the nothing burger pill invoking a banquet. Politically, the rightoid engages in hyper-real aesthetics rather than kinetic practice. His political vision, lit by Plato's cave fire, whose shadows materialize as social media feeds and television news shows. He sees and is satisfied by only the surface reflection of political events, not the complex current beneath. I'll read that again. He sees and is satisfied by only the surface
No
reflection
way.
of political events and not the complex currents beneath.
Yeah, I don't
To
think
dive too deeply might mean one is carried away by.
I don't think Trump can recover from this. I think he's done pretty much. It's just like a catastrophe. And I heard somebody say that this isn't just one thing that's happened. Take it easy, Jason. It's not just one thing. It's like a collection of problems. The tariff thing, the prices of goods, the Iran war. But the Iran war is just like the straw that broke the camel's back. That's how it feels. And I'm totally cut free for I don't care. I could if he does like if he's successful after this, I still don't care. Like I have no investment in him anymore. Honestly, I've written him off for screw or done. And I don't really see how he can't there's no way that he could redeem himself in our eyes. And honestly, I don't see how like he would literally have to do a 180. He would have to like snub Israel really hard. But I don't think he's got that in him at all. He doesn't seem to. He just wants to leave. He just wants to leave the Middle East and leave behind all of all of our empire basically. You're going to leave our empire in in the sands of Iran. That's Trump. He's going to lose it in a desert and leave it there. It kind of reminds me of Kingdom of Heaven. Enrique Iglesias. Yeah, with 4 kids. It's a lot of kids. Deep fake it until you make it. And Bondi, gosh, she was the Attorney General of Florida. She was okay when she was the Attorney General here. As soon as she was in the administration, it was just like a catastrophe. Everything she did turned to crap. Oh, I seen today too, Claude or Anthropic. They released 500,000 lines. They leaked 500,000 lines of their Disgusted with who? They leaked 500,000 lines of their source code. It had all of the like where they were going to pivot to next, like where they were going to go with their AI direction. They had all of that stuff got leaked. So all the other AI companies know what they're about to do or what they were going to do. You guys remember Tamagotchis? They were the little keychain pets. Oh, you're talking about Trump, yeah. Absolutely. Just like you said, he would have to 100%. Yeah, it would have to be see, I was doing this the whole time and then realize it was all just 8D chess or whatever. But who's still beautiful. Yeah, he would have to pretty much prove that it was all according to plan. And I don't see that happening. Israel would have to get screwed. He'd have to make nice with the Iranians. Because man, that where they killed that's or they bombed that school, man, I can already tell that that is going to be that's going to be what people remember him by. Like that is absolutely going to be tied with this period of time. When people talk about 2026, that will come up for sure. Yeah, every time they talk about the war, that it seems like that they bring up that school. It's a total shit show. Every way, any way you can cut it, it's a shit show. I wish I knew what if will obey the wish that I some of these videos that they have on YouTube, like just because they're on YouTube doesn't mean you can stream them. Like, I kind of wish I could. Like watching classic movie clips. You guys ever watch musicals? Ever? Doge rebates, yeah, exactly. Shit. All will be forgiven for for 1,200 bucks, right? Man, it was such a he's a flim flam man. Like I was saying yesterday, you can see it's all it's like blatantly just carnival barker shit, you know? No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, like just throwing anything out there. But he had like in the first term, he didn't get us any wars. I heard somebody talking about this where they were like, they kind of understood, or they were saying, I kind of get it. I think I was watching somebody from England. They were like, I get it. He didn't do anything like that. He did these precise airstrikes in the first term. And then when he runs, in 2024, see, look at my first term. I didn't do any of that stuff. You could trust me. Yeah, I like Singing in the Rain. I like Fred Astaire musicals. Like Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, and Gene Kelly, of course. I didn't used to like him at all, though. It's like as I've gotten older, I there's a value in those movies, and also like Yankee Doodle Dandy with James Cagney. I love I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's like I've been every time I finish a stream, I don't know why, but I just really want to hear that part of the movie where he does the song Yankee Doodle Dandy and give my regards to Broadway and stuff. Such a good He's such a he's a good dancer. And it occurred to me when I was watching it that back then they would teach like James Cagney, he knew how to dance. He was a tough guy gangster movie guy, and he was a great tap dancer. So was Bob Hope. Most of them could play the piano. Most could play the piano, sing, tap dance, and act. And like James Cagney, his sister played his sister in that movie, and she was just as good at tap dancing, just as good at singing. It's just like, they actually taught their kids Singing in the Rain. That's just a really good movie, and it makes you feel good. What is it? Donald O'Connor, and then what's her name? Debbie Reynolds. She was good too. But back then, another thing I noticed about that Yankee Doodle Dandy, you could tap dance and be great at tap dancing in a suit. You could straight up tap dance in a suit and like kick ass at it. It was very. I was thinking like it's such a formal form of entertainment, to like to be able to do it in a suit. You don't have to get your hands dirty or nothing. Oh wow, you got to see the King and I with Yul Brenner and what's her name? Irene Dunn. No, not Irene Dunn. It was her name, the redhead, the English. Damn it! Oh, I forgot her name. She's in a lot of movies. Bovadis. Yeah, Yul Brenner. He was like the first guy to be bald. Like you can't really find any celebrity back then that was bald. He was the first one. What the hell is her name? Can't believe like I'm really good with names actually. Always have been, and for some reason just drew a blank. Deborah Kerr. That's right, Deborah Kerr. Yeah, she was a great actress too. A lot of movies. But yeah, I think she was the governess in The King and I. I'm gonna say Grease. Yeah, Grease was good too. That was that's like my parents' era. Grease. Like my mom loved Grease when I was younger. She would play that movie all the time. I mean, and musicals, that's like kind of an American thing too. It's a very unique genre. It has music, dancing, sets. Oh wow, The King and I and Grease. That's legit. The King and I is a pretty damn good. It's a good story though, for sure. Cats. Oh wow. I remember when Cats was in theaters when I was a kid. Cats was I mean it was on Broadway in the 90s, I believe, right? Wasn't it? I think it was like the mid late 90s, early 2000s. Cats was on Broadway. And it was huge. I remember seeing the stupid commercials. It was creepy. It's a story about street cats, alley cats, and pussy cats and shit. Ow. Ow. And they're all dressed up with fur and claws and shit. It was weird. I didn't even forgot that Grease was a live action. It was a live musical. I've only seen one play myself, or one live. You saw Cats? Ooh, that's creepy. That's so creepy. I seen Monty Python spam a lot. It was a play where they took the Holy Grail and turned it into like a live action thing for live audience. They come into the audience. That is creepy. That's so creepy. I don't think I could do that. The cats, people in weird costumes. It reminds me of uh what is it? The Cat People, that movie where you never got to see the monsters. And Hollywood, it used to be so clever. They used to be clever and they did good stuff. Like really good movies. It just totally fell off. Like it's not about telling a good story anymore at all. At all. They don't give a shit about the story at all. It's how can we spoon feed our propaganda to our audience? Ah, Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's an excellent one. That's a great movie. I downloaded that like December. I watched it a few times actually. I ended up deleting like 4 gigabytes of movies too. I've been trying to restore it ever since. Grease 2. I was thinking there was a Grease 2, but I never seen it. I would like to see opera. I would like to go watch Don Giovanni, The Marriage of Figaro, and Die Zebraflout. What? Michelle Pfeiffer? Uh, oh, anything with Michelle Pfeiffer is in, I'll watch it. Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, she was in Grease too, wasn't she? That's right. Yeah, she was pretty excellent. The West Side Story, that's a good one too. Yeah, sure, for sure. It's funny. All this stuff was like, oh wow, you were Annie. Huh, that's funny. Red girl was played Little Orphan Annie. Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, that is another auto loader. You haven't been in here in a while. Her name is Stephanie Zanoni. Is that really what Michelle Pfeiffer's name is? Tim Curry was awesome. He was such a good actor. Hilarious. I mean, he was good in Clue. He was good in Three Musketeers as the Cardinal. He was a great actor. He's still alive too. He had a stroke though. Yeah, she's smoking. Like in Scarface, she was so good looking in that. Damn, she was like the original uh well, not the original, but she was like like the one that came before Cameron Diaz pretty much. The blonde that was the no, Heather Locklear she was up there too. Melrose Place. My mom used to watch that shit when I was a kid, Melrose Place. Heather Locklear, though, she was fucking smoking. Super pretty. Michelle Pfeiffer. I wonder if she sang in that Grease too. I never seen it. You're sleeping mostly, huh? Autoloader. I had a feeling Mick wasn't going to come on tonight. Nothing really happened. He's been doing that a lot lately, where he just ducks out if it was a slow news day. Which I get it. I get it. It's hard to, he does like 2 to 3 hour shows. it is kind of tough to ramble for 3 hours every day. Like, you got to have something to talk about. You got to, yeah, Carol Burnett. That's fun. Carol Burnett was funny. The Witches of Eastwick. That was a play. Oh, no, no, no. You're right. Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, yeah. That was a good one with Jack. What Lies Beneath was, no, it wasn't What Lies Beneath, somebody else. Harrison Ford, right? Oh, it was 90210, then Melrose Place. Yeah, they were like they followed each other. I think I remember that. I remember hearing 90210, then Melrose Place. I didn't really Witches of Eastwick with Cher. God, she's annoying. Cher, and who was the other one? She was like nerdy. Jack Nicholson was good in that one though. Good old Jack. Wow. The rolling curlers. I remember they were different when I was younger. They were more slender uh cylinder. Oh wow. So you like that Valley Girl shit, huh? That's hilarious. Yeah, it was Harrison Ford. How's it going? Not right. Your 20 minutes was just up. I wonder where Mina is. Mina, you know what that reminds me of? Dracula. Mina. That I think it's short for Wilhelmina, or no, Elizabetha. I think it was Mina. It reminds me of Dracula, like the one with Gary Oldman. And what's her name? The girl that stole shit. Uh, Beetlejuice. Yeah, Nicholson was good in everything. He was really good in Chinatown too. He was even good in Easy Rider. Like, he actually did a good job on Easy Rider with Hopper and what's his name? I didn't really think Peter Fonda was any good in that though. Peter Fonda. He's not all that great. No, she wasn't turned into a vampire. Or almost was. She almost was, but they ended up killing Dracula before that. I really like that. That story is so good. All those horror stories, those old horror stories like Dracula, The Mummy with Boris Karloff, Frankenstein with Boris Karloff, the was it the Wolf Man? It was awesome. Oh yeah, Susan Sarandon was the other one. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not really into Susan Sarandon. She's a bit of a bitch. She's an ideologue, an absolute ideologue too. Like off her rocker ideologue. See, I just can't hold. Yeah, Winona Ryder. I just can't hold with that kind of anybody who's an ideologue like that. I just can't see eye to eye with people like that. That it's like reality be damned. What I believe is what I believe, and I'm gonna force that on other people if I have to. It's not for me. It'd be on one side or the other, either as well. Like well, to a degree, it's like I don't really want to bother other people, but I also do want I want America to be for Americans. Like that's I think the illegals should be deported, but they took that chance when they came here. Other than that, though, I'm not an ideologue at all. To be an ideologue, you have to really want change, I feel like. Yeah, Winona Ryder and Marissa Tomei, it's kind of funny. They do kind of go together. Although Marissa Tomei, she had some work done, I think. She was she looked good in My Cousin Vinny, for sure. Winona Ryder, is she I like Beetlejuice. I mean, Tim Burton did some good movies. I've never been a fan of Nightmare Before Christmas, though. I mean, that movie's like a love it or hate it thing. Tim Burton is like that a lot too. His older movies were good, like Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice, there's a bunch of them. Batman was great. Your ballet company. What are you talking about, ballet company? That's cool though. Frankenstein and Dracula in like with ballet, that would be pretty legit. What's Eating Gilbert Grape? I didn't know that Tim Burton did that. Huh. Yeah, and didn't he do Nightmare Before Christmas for Disney or something? And it was like a side project. He also did that one movie. Remember Monkey Bone? I think that's what it was called, Monkey Bone. Had Brendan Fraser in it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, what I mean, and Leonardo DiCaprio as a little boy. A little goofball. He played a retard. Alice in Wonderland. It was all right. See, uh I read Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass when I was a kid. I loved it. It was such a good book. Amazing book. Lewis Carroll, of course. And I love the movie, the Disney movie. God, those are those old Disney movies? Disney really captured something special, lightning in a bottle. Because I get such a nostalgic feeling from movies that are Disney movies that are like pre 1990. Like everything pretty much the mid 80s and before. Like I think their last like amazing like great movie was Black Cauldron, and that was in the 80s. It was a really good one. I didn't even see it till like this last year, and I just couldn't I was like, "Wow. This was so good." It pissed me off because my grandmother had all the Disney movies. We never watched that one once, and it was awesome. It was basically Lord of the Rings, but a Disney version of Lord of the Rings that was an hour and a half long. It was awesome. So good. It had a little, just a regular white kid that wanted to save his people from an evil demon king, and he meets a pretty blonde white princess in a castle, and he rescues her, and they go on to defeat the what's his name? Not the Demon King. Something like that. The Dark King or the Demon King or something. But it's such a good movie. And it was like a perfect European movie. It was perfect for like white children. I mean, and it wasn't like it would knock to any other group. It was just everybody in it was white, and it was about it had our values. It's an amazing film. It really is. It's yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate. I like. It's about as good as the Alice in Wonderland. They're both good, but I do like the Gene Wilder one better. That Black Cauldron. There's something about it. It had amazing uh effects. Yeah, I'm not into the modern stuff. I really haven't liked them since like the second Toy Story, I would say. But the stuff that they made pre I think The Little Mermaid was like the cutoff there. They switched their processes. Those are not the same. They didn't make those movies the same way. After they did when they did The Little Mermaid and The Lion King, those are different movies. But before that, they actually drew the movies. It's like The Sword and the Stone, fucking classic. It's such a good movie. Oh yeah, Beauty and the Beast. My mom loved that movie. She loved it. I liked it. It was a little bit scary to me though, but I did like the candlestick, and I did like the clock, the grandfather clock. Yeah, exactly. The animation changed. They went from doing it where they put a camera overhead and took pictures, stop motion or whatever. Oh, of course, Red Girl says, "Ooh, she's my fave." No shit, she's your favorite. Come on. She's the one fiery redhead princess of the whole bunch. I did always like that about a Little Mermaid. She was a little different, like they gave her that, and it's not quite an orange red. It's almost like it's got a lot more depth to it. That red that her hair was, very rich color. I mean, it was. I'm not trying, I'm not like trying to go on about it, but I always thought it was a really cool color that they used for her hair. But they changed their animation, and the older ones, say Robin Hood, Sword in the Stone, Jungle Book, the fact that they were hand drawn made them that much better. And they used those where they took glass and they put glass levels, different layers, and then they would put a different celluloid sheet with the drawings on it. They would put them on each different glass layer. So when they took a picture, they could have, the depth perception. They could put all kinds of different uh characters and different things moving, and it would look like it was further away. It was awesome. Such a good way to make it, made it so realistic. Oh, nothing, Alex. I just was just going on, just rambling, talking, bullshitting. I almost kind of want to look and see if there's a video of how they used to make Disney, how they used to do it, because it was like they had to have like a special studio where they had to build one of those cameras with all the layers of glass so that they could do each scene, and it was just beautiful. And they put so much more effort into this music, the songs. Like they actually have good songs. Like Robin Hood had some really good songs in that. Phony King of England. And then also uh in the Jungle Book, King Louis, he did the I reached the top and I had to stop. And yeah, I've seen the original cover. My mom never saw that till like a couple years ago. And well, yeah, she had it too. And I was like, no, look. She's like, oh, she did it. Oh my goodness. Like, I can't believe that. I'm like, they were guys, of course. They did that a lot actually. There's a few different there's a few different covers that have stuff like that. Few different They have Easter eggs. It's funny, yeah, how the Little Mermaid straight up had a on the one of the one of the ramparts was a Johnson. Like fucking like solid too. Like it's Up there. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, where you take the book and you. Yeah, yeah, we all did that. It was. I mean, it was pretty cool. I remember the first time somebody showed me that when they took a thing of Post-it notes, basically, and then they flipped through it, and I'm like, oh shit, that's cool. I love the way that Disney made those movies, though. I'm gonna see if I can find them. Damn. Look at you. What are you falling out of your seat there, redhead? Red. Oh, I think I found it. Oh no, no, it's a 50s. It wasn't as high tech as it got later on. I know. Emperor's New Groove was pretty good too, actually. For one, it was a decent one for a modern. Like, they really didn't make very good of stories. Hercules was good too. Yeah, I love Disney was so good back then. Their old they built up so much goodwill with uh with their people that watched. Somehow they just threw it all away. Mulan was another good one too. Snow White, that was the first one. Sleeping Beauty. Trying to find one where it shows that big camera apparatus that they have to do, because it has like 20 different layers. So they can make stuff, they can put stuff way in the back, and it really does look like it's far away. It's very legit. I always liked Disney's anime. You know, they made better cartoons than Warner Bros. Like with the Looney Tunes. They made better cartoons. They were the music was better, the stories were better, the characters were better. They were made with love. And the other movies weren't. They were just cheap, easy to make. You could, although they weren't easy to make, but you could churn them out. And Disney didn't do that. You know, I feel like, ooh, Radigan. I've been watching that like the last 2 weeks. I've been watching yeah, you're talking about Fantasia. Yeah, Fantasia is the one where he takes the wizard's hat. It's good. I've been watching The Great Mouse Detective. Like, I've watched it a few times in the last week. It was one I always used to watch at my grandmother's house, but it had Radigan. Vincent Price played Radigan. Such a good movie. Such a good movie. Here we go. Yeah, Splash Mountain. Same here. I went with my mom like 3 or 4 years ago. Just went on a lark, stayed in the Animal Kingdom hotel for like a night or two. And I was so pissed. Like, how the fuck did they get rid of Song of the South? That is fucked up. It's so fucked up. Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, the Tar Baby. the the Tar Baby. It really was part of that movie. Hell yeah, Radigan. Radigan was sick. Basil of Baker Street.
Oh, you want to lighten the load. Oh, you want to lighten the load. Oh, you want to lighten the load. Oh, you want to lighten the load.
Damn, they put a lot of work in that.
Oh, you want to lighten the load. Oh, you want to
Damn.
lighten the load. Oh, you want to lighten the load.
They did such a good job on him as a villain,
you
too.
Want to lighten the load.
He has like a 5 o'clock shadow. So good. And he was dastardly and diabolical. And at the end, when Basil of Baker Street is talking through the Queen's voice, and he's like, "You're just a despicable, dirty, slimy sewer rat," and just screams. He calls him a rat, a dirty rat, and the professor's like, "Ugh," it like physically hurts him. Charlotte's Web was good. It was a good movie. I watched that a little while ago, actually, and I hadn't seen it in years. Oh shit. Damn. I wish I could play that. Let Me Be Good to You. That's from that movie, Mouse Detective. I don't think it'll let me though. That's bullshit. Yeah, it won't let. It's not gonna let me. Damn it. I would. Wish that we could watch these. There's some like some of the scenes from these old Disney movies are so good. I would love if they should have done a sequel of The Mouse Detective. And then this one is I think that's The Aristocats, which is a good movie. I just watched that recently for I can't remember watching it as a kid, so it was like the first time I saw it, but I just watched that recently. And then of course, Robin Hood. You know, the guy who played the fox, he's gay and he's a transvestite, I think. As an old man, he became yeah, as an old man, I guess he became gay or came out, and he's played women in movies. Yeah, it pisses me off that they I live in Orlando, so it kind of sucks on an emotional level. Like it's such bullshit. Like, and it also spells change. That's kind of why that stuff bothers me, because I know, you know, it's an era is disappearing. It's going away. That bothers me quite a bit. Oh, there's a redhead. What's her name? Lucille Ball. She was actually a pinup girl too. Lucille Ball. A lot of people don't realize that, but soldiers put her up on their barracks walls and shit. You guys realize that? Did you guys know that she was a pinup girl, Lucille Ball? I thought she was a comedian, just a regular comedian. Jeez, that's funny. They made Drewski a white guy. He doesn't even know how to do it. He can't help but jumping around like a colored. Look at him. He's bouncing around like a colored. He can't help it. He got to get up on his toes and boing, 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 bounce around like a bunny. Hmm. Oh, there's the Robin Hood Rooster song. That's what's his name? He did that song King of the Road. Or he was a country music, uh, Roger something. He was a good musician. He did all the music of that Robin Hood. Yeah, you know, people don't realize how big of a deal VHS was. My mom, we didn't own any of the Disney movies with the clamshell case, but we had home recording where she would just copy it onto another tape. And I remember they would just have the label spread across it with the name of the movie written on it. Like that's how our Jungle Book. And she recorded them because you know how HBO would do a week for free where they would make it where everybody could get HBO. And whenever it was on free, my mom would record all the movies pretty much. And because Disney was included with HBO, it was a it was like it is now. It was a channel that played nothing but movies. That was so cool how they did it back in the 80s. They played it was all movies pretty much. That and then they also did the what was it called? It was with Baloo and another little bear, and they were cargo pilots. Such a cool movie. Something Tails, I think, or maybe it was Tailspin. I think it was Tailspin. And yeah, it had Baloo the bear. Yeah, and actually Phil Harris, the guy who voiced Baloo the bear's voice in the Jungle Book, he actually did like the first 9 episodes. Three Stooges are awesome. I used to watch those on the weekends with my dad or on Sundays. Whoop, 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 whoop. Pinky in the brain. Pinky in the brain, 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 brain. Pinky in the brain. That was a good movie. Or good show, excuse me. It was a good show. And it had the Pinky was like it was basically Pinky played or the brain played straight man and Pinky was the monkey. It was a pretty funny show. Wasn't the whole show about them escaping? If I'm not mistaken. It's about them mistaking. Then you had the Animaniacs. I can sing like that song popped into my head as the Animaniacs. That was back when all those kids shows used Mozart and Beethoven for the theme songs. That was back when they made a kid show. Some part of it would be some part of it would be educational. It would have uh classical music. At the very least they would use good music even if the rest of the show was garbage. But yeah, the Animaniacs, it was kind of weird. Why were 1970s Americans so much calmer? Good question. Ooh, Cab Calloway. Damn. I wonder if I could get away with that. Probably not. I like Cab Calloway. It's funny that they made cartoons out of it. Disney did. They made the Ghost cartoon with not Minnie the Moocher. It was huh, with Betty Boop.
Let her go, oh bless her. Wherever she may be, she will search.
Huh, that shit's sick. He was really popular back then. Cab Calloway. He was ridiculously popular. And not only that, but he was one of like the only he was one of the first black talents that they would play. And I know exactly why they considered him I mean he was good at dancing and stuff, but he had white people hair. for sure. Like I've watched a bunch of his stuff, and you can tell that they all thought like they thought highly of him. You know, like he was their leader, and you could tell why. Like he was the whitest one of them. And he would he'd make sure that his hair flipped loose and would flip around and hmm, dancing like a colored. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. Oh, your daughter loves Elvis. Elvis is great. My grandmother's an Elvis fan. She loves Elvis. She saw Elvis. Matter of fact, Elvis performed I could walk to this place that Elvis performed at, like when my parents were younger. Elvis performed like almost in their neighborhood. Elvis is badass for sure. That's cool. Elvis and James Brown. Huh. You know, it's weird too, is back in like the 30s, they did Cab Calloway and they did another there were twins. They were two brothers, they were dancers, they were black guys. And those guys were like successful in Hollywood and they were in a lot of movies. But for some reason, in like after Cab Calloway and those guys, they just didn't allow them into movies anymore. I don't know what it was about that. But for some reason, they were fine with black folks being in the movies in the 30s, but in the 40s, it was a no-go thing. Oh, that's cool. Your daughter has an old soul. I was always the same way. That is cool. I mean, at least she's not imbibing in the current culture. It's garbage. It's trash. You know, the fountain of American culture for the last 50 years has just been poison. So, I mean, it certainly hasn't led to a good place anyway. That's the way I judge a tree by its fruit, and I just don't see anything that isn't rotten. Mm. Shit, it's getting late. I think that I'm gonna cut it off here for the evening. It's a damn shame. Nick didn't do a show, but oh well. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off there. I do hope you guys enjoyed the discussion and whatnot. I didn't have as much to say as I would like to. I'll do a show tomorrow too, of course. Hopefully, I can get together some content and stuff for you guys. Yeah, Patrick Swayze, he was all right. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and slip out of here and get some sleep and stuff. It was a pleasure. Glad to have the ladies in here, Mackenzie, Red. Anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of your morning and